born, when I was born.
Well, no, and to be or not to be.
Well, since you're the oldest, why don't you start off with the first thing that you remember?
That's right.
First thing I remember.
When you came from mother's womb, you don't
We
remember.
have to hold it clean.
That I don't know. Well, I'll tell you a story about when you were a little boy.
Oh,
All right?
Don't make it like the horse.
All right, I'll tell you the story.
The horse was blind.
When you were little,
Yeah.
we lived on 8th Street, 235 North 8th Street.
Is that next to Gaiety Theater?
Right next door to the Gaiety Theater. Mom had a cigar store, a great big fountain in it, where all the actresses.
A fountain?
Yes. We had a pink marble fountain.
Excuse me, sir. Can we have arguments on this interview? Just in case,
How's that?
just in case there's something we don't remember?
Sam's making a big
You
deal.
may absolutely have arguments.
Are you going to let me talk?
Yeah, well, excuse me.
No, we did have a fountain.
We were practically the first people in Philadelphia that had a regular soda fountain, with the spigots, that let seltzer water out and all. And when you were about 2.5, 3 years old, you got sick. You got spinal meningitis, which turned into a brain fever from the high fever. And they took you to the municipal hospital at 2nd Luzerne. When you were there, you were so very sick that the doctor said, no use giving him anything. Let him go. It's a shame to torture
I
him.
was willing to die.
Just a
true,
minute.
that's
It's
true.
true. So Pop and Mom were so scared that they would do something. In those days, you used to hear people say they give him a black pill. They were afraid that they would give him a black pill, or what they called it. So Mom would go during the day and sit and watch. And before they gave you any medicine, she would taste it first to see that it wasn't poison.
I was like,
Then, no, don't be funny.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
true.
very
It's
serious.
true.
And then, when she came home, Pop would take over. And that's the way they watched you. Until they heard about a doctor in New York who specialized in meningitis. At that time, he charged $100 for a visit to come from New York. $100 in those days was like $1,000 today, if not more. But they went and they scraped the money together and they got that doctor to come. And he gave you injections in the spine, which withdrew the fluid or whatever it was, and it arrested the meningitis. But from the medication and the things, your teeth became decayed, black, and you couldn't eat, and your throat was swollen. And they said we have to get food into them. In those days, they didn't have intravenous and things like that. So, accidentally, Pop one day went to feed you. They used to pour the medicine on your cheek like this, and whatever seeped through. Nobody had the sense to break a tooth out or anything. Accidentally, Pop, when he went to feed you with a spoon, tapped your tooth, and it was so decayed from the medicine and everything that it broke the front tooth out. As soon as that tooth fell out, they put a tube in there, began to feed him, and he began to get better. See how medicine is advanced? So then, when they brought him home, me, the big sister,
How old were you?
I was 18 months older than Sam, so I must have been about 4.5 or 5 years old.
yeah,
In those days, if you were 5 years old, you were a big to-do. So he couldn't walk, he was so weak, We had a stroller. The old-fashioned wicker strollers, curved up in the front like this, and the back
like
slid
in
down.
Atlantic City.
Yeah, and the handles. So it was my job to take you for a walk in the park, Franklin Square,
Franklin Square.
8th and Race.
Yes.
So, and Phil was, he was a little toddler, a little thing. So I used to have to take Phil and wheel you. And from being sick, they had to shave all your hair off. and your head was,
Off my head or anyplace else?
and your head was distorted, the fever. So when I was feeling him in the park, the other kids would come over and they would make fun of him, you know, and try to push him. So there was such a fight there one day. They tried to overturn the carriage, you know, to do something to him. And a man came along and he helped me. He chased the kids away, and I took you and Phil. And did I run? When I come to
Yeah, you sure I didn't upset?
when I come to the end of the Franklin Square has like 2 little steps to go down. I was in such a rush to get him down the steps that I tumbled the carriage over.
Yeah.
I remember that
He
one,
went
it's already.
flop on his head, and I had to pick him up and I took him home. Did I get a licking? Don't ask. Did I get? Because he had to go back to the hospital.
Oh, from Bubby or Zeta?
From Zeta, because my father, with his temper, his temper was the worst. But he was the kindest man in the world. But when he got mad, did I get a licking?
He acted first and then
I'll
explained
never
later.
forget it.
Where was Zeta born?
Zeta was born in Kiev, a little town.
Kind of tough.
No, Pop was born outside of a little town in Kiev.
Right.
And when he was about 10 or 11 years old, in those days,
What year was he born?
nobody knows.
He don't know himself.
He don't know.
They never knew how
I
old
never
they were.
said. But
It was-
my grandmother my grandfather was a scholar. He didn't work. He used to sit in the synagogue and study. He was what they called the Talmud Chacham.
This is Zeta's father?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if he was a rich man. He's one
He
of
was
those-
what they call a Talmud Chacham. He would study the Talmud and translate it. And it was a great honor for a woman in those days to marry a Talmud Chacham. They never worked. The woman supported them. So she would have the children, and to make a living, she used to have a chicken farm. And
Like
she would
you with the eggs.
she would take the eggs and go to what they call the Yerid. The Yerid was a marketplace. And she would sell her eggs. And she often told me, I said, how many children did you have, Grandma? She says, well, 5 lived. She says, the others, look. I says, what do you mean, what the others? She says, well, I couldn't have time, she says, to stay home and have a baby. On the way, she says, I had a baby. She says, I would take a little piece of bread and put sugar on it, tie it in a little rag, stick it in their mouth, and leave them on the hay, on the wagon, on the hay. If they lived, they lived. If they didn't live, she says, I couldn't help it. I had to make a living for the children.
Anyhow, she was selling eggs.
Yeah.
That's the way she made a living. And she's a little short woman.
Yeah, little one.
So they nicknamed her. Her name was Minnie. In Jewish, you say Menken. So they used to say, call her Menken Mitiayer.
Yeah.
That's what her
The
nickname
eggs.
used to be. Menken,
So
Menken
anyhow, when Pop was around 10 years old, it
He
was...
bought a horse.
No, just a minute, Sam. In those days, you know, they had the Cossacks, and it was very... If the Russians hated the Jews... Like
Oh, Christ, that's a good
Just
little
a minute, Sam.
You're going
So when he asked me to explain something
Yeah, but
about...
don't write a Bible.
Well, then, all right.
That's
Do you
all
want me
right.
to continue?
That's
A
okay.
little bit.
Yeah, but you're going
So anyhow, Pop, these kids grabbed a hold of Pop and they smeared his face with pork. And in those days, my father was very, very
Is
religious.
it still in Kiev?
This is in this, I don't know, Kiev, but it's a little town outside of Kiev. So he started a fight with the kids, and he was a husky kid. And he beat one of the kids up. Well, the kid went home, and he was beat up. The father got mad. And he went to the police, and he said to this Jew went and cursed the Tsar, and he did this and he did that and beat my kid up. So they went to arrest him. A kid of 10, 11 years old, whatever he was. So, but somebody that was there, another man, heard about it. So he ran to my grandmother, and he told her what was going to happen. They were going to come for my father. Quick, she took whatever little bit of money she had and packed up his few little things, and she says, go to a certain man in another town, run away. So he ran away from home, and he went to work for a saddler, learning how to make leathers, saddles, and stuff. When he got a little bit more money, then he started to work his way across Europe until he came to a seaport and got on a boat and came to America.
All right, Phil, what about Bubby? Was she born in the United States or in Russia?
Bubby, my mom
mom?
was, me?
Yeah.
Mom was born in Kiev.
Kiev?
No, she was not. Mom was born in Chernigovic.
Well, that's near Kiev.
No, it isn't.
All right, so it's.
Well, it's a little further away now,
This much
but
away.
it's near Russia.
Did they know each other in the old country?
No.
No. They met in Vineland, New Jersey, I believe it was.
Woodbine.
In
Woodbine, New Jersey.
Same thing,
Yeah, it's close by.
yeah.
And, well, Pop was a good-looking man.
Yes,
He was handsome. He had curly hair. He built nice. And after they were married, after Pop married Mom, he met Mom in Woodbine, New Jersey, and they got married.
When was that?
I
Do
beg your
you
pardon?
have any idea when that was?
Well, I'm
That's
seven.
before.
I'm seven.
That must have been about 1890, about 1891 maybe, 93.
No, it was. What are you talking about? I'm 71 years old, and my mother was born 9 months after Mom, after they got married. I was born in
About
1910.
1907 or 1910.
Just a minute. I was born in 1910. They were married in 1909.
1907, 19.
So they met around 1908.
Did they have to get married or what kind
I'm
of
just
knew?
saying.
No,
No, they didn't. They had a nice wedding.
Yeah?
Yeah, Grandpa made them a nice
All
wedding.
right. Yeah, I just want, for the record.
How did Bubby come to the United States? Janet, do you know that?
You know how?
Me?
Yeah, how'd your mother come to the United
I'll
States?
tell you how they came.
I don't remember that.
In Europe, my grandfather,
How to call the yard.
he did not have
No,
a farm.
he had a
He
farm.
was a very rich
Beet.
man who
Sugar
had a
beets.
sugar beet farm.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of people working for him, and he was a very wealthy man, and his children were raised very wealthy. The oldest son, Harry, they used to call him the prince.
How do you spell that?
And when he was a haughty fellow. He was a haughty fellow. He was very proud. And the laborers on the farm who were resentful of him. When you were 21 years old, you had to go into the service, regardless of anything. So they were all saying, when he gets in the service, we're going to get him. We can't touch him now, but we're going to get him. And years ago, you could indenture, you know what indenture is. You could buy yourself out of the service. But when he came up for indenture, they wouldn't allow him to be bought out because they had it in for him. And my grandmother said if they get him in the service, they're going to kill him. And he was the idol of her life. So what they did is they took whatever possessions they had, and they had a very trusted overseer. They signed, and in those days, a Jew was not allowed to own land in Russia. This trusted overseer had the land in his name. So my grandfather said, here, you take the land, sell whatever you can, keep whatever you can, and send me the rest of the money. He said, agreed to it. And whatever they had, that's what they took with, and they came to America.
This is probably around 1890.
They came to America when my mother was 15 years old.
That's what I meant when
Yeah.
I said the yeah.
My grandmother was 15, my mother was
Around
15.
1890, 1895.
My grandmother was 15 years old when they came here to America. When they came here to America, they settled in South Philadelphia, and they bought a little grocery store. And the boy my mother worked in the grocery store.
Near Jaffe's?
No, Jaffe came later on. Grandmom's maiden name was Jaffe. My mother's
J-A-F-F-E?
mother's name was Jaffe.
Jaffe?
Jaffe.
Yeah.
And my grandfather's name was Ginsburgsky, which when he came here to America, they made
dropped the
it
ski.
Ginsburg.
They dropped the ski.
And I'll never forget my grandmother telling me that when they came here, my grandfather was redheaded, and he had a beard down to here, very proud of it,
All the way down here?
and a mustache.
Yeah.
And in those days, they had the open-air trolleys running along on 8th Street, down, all over in the summertime. So my grandfather wanted to see what was doing in America. He got on the trolley car and he took a ride.
What year was this?
I don't know what year.
They were horse cars then.
Whatever it was an open
Yeah.
trolley.
Oh,
And he,
horse drawn.
so he took a ride. So when he was riding with the beard, the kids started throwing stones and tomatoes and things.
And on Foxton Bush.
So he ran, when he got off the trolley, he looks around, he don't see anybody much with beards or anything. He walked right into a barber shop, and he had a close crop goatee, and he trimmed his mustache down. Comes home, and he walks in the house. My grandmother's busy at the table there, and he says to her, "New Bella." Her name was Bella. He says to her, "New Bella." He's looking around that she should, give him a compliment.
The way
She
it
turns
was
around and she looks at him, she don't recognize him. She says, "Ooh, ooh." He says, "Das bin ich, Munja." She looked at him, she went, "Pooh, I find the son of skin." Look at him. She wouldn't talk to him for a month because he shut his beard off. She wouldn't talk to him for a month because he cut his beard off. She went, "Pooh, that my son of skin."
No, I mean, he had the same name.
Yeah, yeah, Grandpa's name was Shmuel Bear.
But she used to call him
No.
Little Zayda was Munya.
That,
Little Zayda was
Oh,
Munya.
you're wrong.
My
You called
mother
it
used to call him Munya.
Munya.
Yes, you did.
Little Zadie was
All right,
Munya.
all right.
All right, you're.
And the big Zayda was Shmuel
All
Dad.
Bear.
right.
In fact, what's his name is named after him.
I know
Val
she used
Myers.
to call him Munya.
One thing about my sister, she's very seldom right. This is one time she's wrong.
All right.
go back on.
All right?
Yeah.
I remember on 8th Street, where we had a cigar store, and the cigar store was at 235 North 8th Street. It was next door to the Gaiety Theater, which was a burlesque theater. And down the street was the Bijo. That was also burlesque. In those days, this was about 1921, 1922, at 1918, 1917, somewhere around there. I was about 3 years old or 2 years old, and my brother Sam was about 3 and a half, maybe 4, and in those days there was no air conditioning, and the mom and pop were busy in the store, and we were in the backyard, and we had a ladder against the fence, and the Gaiety Theater used to keep their side doors open to get air for the people watching the stage shows. And we used to sit up on the top of the fence and watch the burlesque while it was going on.
How old were you then? 2?
I was about 2 and a half, I guess.
Did you have any idea what was going on?
Oh, yes. They were burlesque, shaking their bottoms and...
But you didn't realize what it meant.
Well,
It was just that you watched the show. It was entertaining. It
No,
kept
well,
you
we
out
were-
of the store.
We were watching, and one time I had, my mother had given me a bath, and I come out nude, and got up on the ladder, and Sam was alongside of me, and one of the chorus girls saw, during the show, saw me sitting on the fence, nude, and just for a devilment, she ran out there in the alleyway and grabbed a hold of me and took me back on the stage nude
We
while
couldn't
the
find
performance
it nowhere.
while the performance was going on. and everybody the audience got a big kick out of this, seeing a new little kid with a little, what do you call it, hanging out there. And, after a while, the manager of the Gaiety tried to get Mother to allow me to come out and perform like that. Well, Mother said nothing doing. Well, it wasn't long after that Sam and I were up on the fence, and whatever happened, I pushed Sam off the fence, and Sam fell down. He really got hurt. So that was that incident.
Back to the hospital again.
Back to the hospital. Another time on 8th Street.
Time. May I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
The time at the Gaiety Theater, if you remember, was during World War I in 1917 or 17.
Right.
Mom Alshon bought you a sailor suit, bought me a soldier suit.
No, I had a captain's suit. If you remember.
Mom didn't buy them,
She
Mom
made them. She made them.
Mom always made them.
All right.
I had a captain's suit.
All right, and I had a soldier
Whatever,
suit.
yeah.
And the chorus girls got us both.
Yes.
And they put us on the stage, and came out nude. There were strippers.
Right.
There were two lead girls, big fat ones with the big tzitzkes hanging out, and they had one in each arm.
Right.
Me in one arm and you in the other arm, and they're singing M-I-S, S-I-S, S-I-P-P-I.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember
Right.
that. Now, it was right after that, we had a couple of cousins, Charlie and Meyer, the Ravens. They were our age, maybe a year or two younger. And for the devilment, one time, the four of us on a Sunday, when the Gaiety Theater was closed,
We broke in
we
there.
climbed up the fire escapes all the way up there, and we started getting costumes. One of us got a policeman's outfit with the Toonerville cops or
Like
whatever it was.
right.
And we come down the ladder, we're all dressed up in their costumes. So everything is hanging on us,
Big-
and we finally got caught.
We're walking out on 8th Street, and we got.
We finally got caught,
And
yeah.
they took us in, and
Yeah, you gotta get our
we
clothes
got
on.
yellow.
Do you remember we did the ice cream parlor with all the ice cream cones and everything else? But across the street was the Penny Arcade, and they sold ice cream, penny ice cream cones.
Yeah.
And we would cry, we don't like this ice cream, we only want the ice cream across the street. Mom would have to give us a penny, and we'd go across the street and buy ice cream across the
Yeah.
street. Our ice cream wasn't good. The ice cream over there was
That was
good.
a rough neighborhood, 8th and Vine.
Well, at that time, that was the Rialto of Philadelphia.
How
Well,
about,
from there,
how about
on
the
8th
four
Street,
course? How about the four
And
course?
four
You
course?
and I used to go up there up to the gallery, and
That's
me and
right.
the gallery used to peek down on the,
right.
Well,
Well,
the
everybody
guys
did.
Well, the Four Course was the first movie in Philadelphia.
yes.
That was the first movie. And all of the famous places was on 8th Street. The Bijo and the
Gaiety,
Gaiety
and the Four Courts.
and the Four Course. That was the main theaters in
The
Philadelphia.
garden.
And of course, and you used to, in those days, you used to see the Johns drive up in the big cars, you know, they would come in our store and wait for the actresses to come out.
Yeah.
And we had, besides having the cigars and the cigarettes,
Cosmetics.
we had a great big showcase full of
Vanities.
vanities and
Pearl
gift
handle
and-
knife.
and
No, that's for the,
gifts to buy for the actresses, and they would sit there, you know, and those days they wore the nice silk hats, you know, and the capes, and they would sit there with the chauffeur-driven cars, and we kids would look out there.
Were you around then, Janet?
well, don't you know what the racket
I was
was?
just born then.
Don't you know what the racket was? with
No,
the-
Janet was born
She was
right,
born on 8th Street.
right when we were ready to leave 8th Street, and we went to New York.
Was that your first house?
That was the
The
first
time
thing
Street?
we knew
that
of.
we actually remember.
But
I don't
then,
even remember.
but then we went to New York, and
No.
Janet remembers.
You're wrong,
You
Phil.
remember Cleveland Street.
Oh, you're wrong. We didn't go from 8th Street to,
Germantown.
we moved to Germantown.
That's right. 6202 St.
6202 Stanton Avenue.
Right.
Right.
There we
From Stanton Avenue, we went to New York.
To New York.
Is that house still standing?
Beg your pardon?
Is 6202 Stenton still standing?
Yeah.
Yes, they changed it
Yes.
to Worcester Street.
It's Worcester Street now.
Lister.
They St. Avenue took a different
Germantown,
road.
in Germantown.
Took a different road, and it's now called Worcester Street.
What about the house on 8th Street?
Oh,
Well,
that's all
that-
torn down. It's now
used to, in the hospital.
Huh?
It's the
Yes,
hospital.
yeah, just about where the hospital is.
Metropolitan Hospital.
You know why we left 8th Street? Why did we leave 8th Street?
Because, I'll tell you,
Well,
I don't know.
Mom's
tradition.
No.
Yes, she did.
No, wait a minute, Fred. I had a girlfriend, Bella Greenberg, who lived right around the
Yes.
corner, and they had a delicatessen
A
store.
grocery, yeah.
Grocery and delicatessen. And we used to come and we used to watch the actresses. So upstairs in my mother's bedroom, we had a great big bay window. And across the bay window was a great big storage box that was built in, and it looked like a stage, you know. You could lift it up, Mom used to put things in it, but it was a big storage box. And we had these great big long windows. And Mom used to hang these lace curtains up from the windows. So one day she took off the curtains, and Bella and I are upstairs, and we used to see the girls do the hoochie coochie and the veiling, you know, and all this stuff. And we don't know from nothing. We get up on the stage, and we put on the lace curtains, we got undressed, and we're doing the striptease, and Papa's standing downstairs in the store, and across the street was a big saloon. And he sees a bunch of men are standing outside, and they're laughing, and they're looking, and they're laughing. Pop says, couldn't imagine. They hollers across, what's going on? They're going like this. So, and they're laughing.
That's not why we moved.
Just a minute. That's right. So we went across, Pop goes across the street, and he takes a look. Here we are naked up there with the curtains doing a hoochie coochie. He came in and he grabbed us. And he paddled me and he paddled Bella. And he wrapped her in the curtain and he took her home to her father. And he told her, Mom, then Mom said to Pop, you know, she says, it's time to go. She says, the children are getting old enough. They're saying things that they shouldn't say and doing things they shouldn't do. Time to get out. So they sold the store and we moved to 6202 Staten Avenue before the store.
Do you remember
It was a
moving day,
grocery
Janet?
store. Huh?
Do you remember moving day?
No, she was a little thing.
Still a baby then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was real little.
How old were you?
But I don't remember. I really don't remember.
You
I
know,
don't
Well, I remember when we went to
No.
Germantown. Wait. I remember when Sam and I, the first few days we were in Germantown on Staten Avenue, and we met a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, and they noticed us as new arrivals. So they got a hold of Sam and I, and they asked us if we ever played Church on Fire. Right? And we said, no, we
Didn't know
didn't
what
know
Church
anything
on Fire
about
was.
Church on Fire. And I think we were the only Jewish kids in the neighborhood at that time. So they said, well, it's a simple game. It's a fire engine. There's a fire, and then they put the fire out. So suppose you two be the church, and we'll show you how you play. So they put us in around a bunch of kids. So we were in the middle of a bunch of kids. And they said, well, you're supposed to holler church on fire, church on fire. And we're hollering church on fire. And they come around with their fire engine. Instead of having a hose of water, they unbuttoned their pants and they put the fire out. They gave us a pretty good squirt.
Sam, do you remember?
Remember that, Sam?
When we
Yeah.
had to go to school, Pastorius,
Daniel Pest.
Daniel Pastor,
Yeah.
we used to have to go through Kikers Fields.
Yeah.
And Kikers Fields was a big farm, Kikers Farm, and it had pear trees and apple trees.
Mulberry trees.
Right. Yeah,
Don't
And
say,
well,
no,
anyhow, those days you used to wear the knickers, the little, with the,
Phil and Calvin. school in the second grade, yeah, about 8 years old. And now I come home and I tell the story. Pop was pretty mad because $10 is a lot of money then.
Oh, yeah.
And he grabbed the hold of me, he kicked the...
No, we all had to go and look.
No, wait a minute,
Look
just...
at benches.
No, just a minute. Now I said, I'm not going to get hit no more, and I ran away from home. Where do I run away from home? There's a vacant lot right near Kiker's Field. A vacant lot, and I'm up there on top of the hill. And I stayed there for about 2 or 3 hours till I got hungry. Everybody's looking for me. But I ran away from home. And Lil or somebody found me and brought me home. I didn't get a whipping that day.
Do you remember how,
But that was rough.
Do you
I'll
remember-
never forget it.
do you remember in Germantown how we used to work there? We had to
Yeah,
get
coal
up,
oil. We used to, the coal oil, we used to go for bread, for bond bread with a little...
Pop used to go for bread, but we used to have to get up every Sunday morning. My father was a cripple, so he couldn't deliver. They all had high porches with the high steps. Early in the morning, we used to get shook up out of bed, Sammy on one side of the porch and me on the other. We used to deliver the bread. Pop used to stand at the
Yeah.
bottom,
Yeah.
step, and throw the bread up, and we would hop over the railings and leave the bread on and the milk on the doorstep.
We had a little Model T Ford with a little box on the end. We used to go on North Street, was Calm's Bakery. Bill used to go
Right.
We used to sit in the back of the little...
Loaded up with bread.
The
hot
truck was
dogs,
just big, the back of the truck, we couldn't stand in it. We'd have to
Square box.
crawl in there. It was like a box, like a 1920 or 21 Ford automobile. So we'd get that bread, that hot bread from Calm's. It was good then, real good.
Bond bread it was.
Yeah, well, Calm's was fun. Calm's Bakery was fun. And we used to come back with the bread. Remember going to Atlantic City one time in that little truck where the box fell off and hit the
Yeah.
ground?
Do you remember when we went to school, I would have to take that little red wagon, put Phil in the red wagon, and you would walk with us on the way up to school. On the way home, we would, for
That's
lunchtime, lunchtime, we'd have to stop and pick up the orders, and then we'd go home and we'd eat real fast, and then they would deliver this thing, and then we'd have to run back and deliver the orders on the way to school. Don't you remember the little red wagon?
I want to tell you one thing. We're talking about stuff that happened 62 or 63 years ago. And either our memories are very, very
You don't
great.
remember the little
Yeah, I
red
remember.
wagon that I used to put Phil was just going to think about the kindergarten then. We would pull Phil to school in the little red wagon.
Yeah.
And on the way home for lunch, we would stop and pick up the orders for the store. While we're eating lunch, Papa and Mom would fill the orders, and on the way to school, we would drop the orders off. Don't you remember? We never had time to play for anything.
No, I don't.
Well, I remember that.
Janet, I'm trying to get Janet to say something. Why don't you tell the story of how your father lost his leg?
I don't really know
Now
that
you
story.
broke your leg, you got it.
I really don't know that story too well.
Who knows how he
I
lost?
really don't.
You remember in New York,
Very little.
you remember the open air movies, watching movies from the roof.
Oh.
Fulton Street.
Right.
Stein was next
Well,
door.
I don't remember
Let's
the
get
name.
out here.
But I know the children in the neighborhood knew that we had like a restaurant with ice cream cones. And they used to want to beat me up if I didn't give them an ice cream cone, or else they wouldn't let me watch the movies, which you had to go up like a 4-story building and sit on the roof. And they had open air
They had
movies.
open air
Did
movies.
you know New York?
People who lived next door to us?
Stein.
Rachel Stein, you remember
Right,
Rachel
and if
Stein?
I didn't give them an ice
What?
cream cone,
We would watch the movies from our windows, from our bedroom window. We used to put
Yeah.
chairs in front of
Yeah,
our
from the
window.
bedroom, yeah.
Yeah, we used to put chairs in front of the bedroom window.
And
And
Walt-
we sit there and watch, and we used to charge the kids a penny to come up and
The
sit
movie
in the movies.
Across the street from us was the
Is this New York now?
in New York.
Yes.
You went there after Germantown.
This is
No, this is
1922, right around 22.
In New
Yeah.
York.
Where we lived, we used to go up on the 4th floor, up on the roof.
Right.
And across the street, there was a movie, an open-air movie. It was called the Pitkin Theater. And we used to watch the movie from our rooftops. one of the greatest pictures we ever watched there was Charlie Chaplin in the
Gold
Jackie
Rush.
Coogan
Wasn't it?
in The Kid.
The kid.
And the advertisement was on the movies, it took us over a year and it cost over $1 million to make this movie.
Really?
Do you remember
I didn't
that?
see advertising.
With the glazer,
Right.
do you remember that?
Kid.
That was the
You
main
know,
picture we want to see.
After we sold the store, it was during the war, we sold the store on
Main Street.
no, we sold the store on in Germantown.
Doing what for?
It was after the war, and Pop Mom made a lot of money because they had a load of sugar, and we used to sell the sugar under the table, and Pop made a load of money.
Tell me about the counterfeit machine.
Now, wait a minute, this was another
The
thing.
money maker machine.
Well, anyhow, they made a load of money, and Pop said, I'm going to retire for a while. He says, I've worked hard all my life and never enjoyed anything. We're going to retire. So Mom says, okay, and sold the store on Germantown Avenue. Went to Germantown, and we got all dressed up, and we went to New York. I remember they took me to the Boston shoe store, bought me suede shoes with the red top and little gold tassels on the side. And when we got to New York, Pop took Uncle Hannah and Uncle Yasha and Elaine and Mom and me. And we went to a very fancy place. And he bought Elaine and, Yasha bought Elaine. We both got the same thing. Brown velvet cape-like coats with beaver collars on it. And my mother my father wanted my mother to buy a fur coat. She wouldn't buy a fur coat because my mother was a big woman. She said it made her look like a bear. So she bought a light brown, like a suede coat. It was beautiful. With a great big beaver collar, and she had a beaver hat made to match it. And they had a lot of money then. But my uncle wasn't doing so good. He was rich at one time, but he wasn't doing so good. So we finally talked my father into going into business. My mother didn't want it. My father said, oh, so what? We got enough money, we'll do it. And they opened a very fancy, like an automat restaurant, wasn't it, Sam?
Cafeteria.
116th and Lexington Avenue, it was a
Cafeteria.
cafeteria. Sort of a Jewish home.
Not in Lexington.
All right, okay.
It was on Fifth Avenue.
Oh,
Sam.
right, Fifth Avenue.
On Fifth Avenue.
It was 116th and Lexington Avenue.
Nah.
We had the picture of the thing with
On
Pop at the
Lexington,
slicing machine, if you
on
remember.
Lexington Avenue, we had the pool room.
Oh,
on the side.
2387 Fifth Avenue, though, was the
Very
full room.
residential.
Well, anyhow, they opened this gorgeous restaurant. I remember it had pink marble, colonnade. They had
It was on the order of
big
Larry's in
banquet.
Philadelphia.
It was on the order of like a Horn and Heart. It was with self-service. And that's where they broke their neck from kind of the cherry pie murders at that time. Because they had the restaurant, they had the kitchen in the cellar. And there was so many people being poisoned from the rats and the things and the what, that when they closed them up, and they said they had to move the kitchen upstairs. By the time they moved the kitchen upstairs, it cost them so much money, they couldn't get that tenant out, and they had so much trouble, and then all the gangsters started hanging out there, and the cops would come in and raid the place all the time. They finally went broke.
That's Philadelphia.
What
When
year
they
is
went-
this?
Huh?
What year is this?
Oh, I was about
24.
Early
10 or
20s?
11 years old.
1924, well.
Do you remember this, Janet? Do you remember this place?
Well,
I remember the place.
She's a little bit confused, but it's all right. It was where these gangsters she's talking about was in the pool room. That was the Red Angelo was one of the
Murder,
the
was Murder Incorporated,
the Black Hand, that's who it was. That was in the pool room.
That was-
Now, I'll tell you a little episode
That
about,
was Jack Yellen.
all right.
yeah, but there was
Yeah.
Murder Incorporated.
Jack Yellen.
I have a story.
Now, just a minute. We had the bowling alley and the pool room
Right. This
at
is good.
2387
This is a
Fifth
good
Avenue.
story.
Now, you've got to visualize this. Upstairs is the pool room. Down in the basement is the bowling alley. Alongside the bowling alley, the them or something, stick it all the way down to retrieve it, to bring it up again. So, in order to get access to the,
Well, we were pen boys.
yeah, we were pin boys down
I
there,
used to
but in order to get
fit
access,
stuff too.
anyhow, somebody came over, one of the tough guys, and said to me, hey Sam, I dropped a quarter down this grading. Do me a favor, go down the bowling alley, open up the window and get me the quarter.
Go out into, it's like a little cell. When you open the window,
Yeah,
you
you-
walk
yeah.
out, you're in like in a little cell.
Can
And
you
look up,
visualize it, Walt?
Yeah.
and you look up at the,
Well, yeah, I'm like-
above, there's the grating.
I like a schmuck, I go downstairs to the bowling alley, I open up the window, and I climb out there, and as I climb out, somebody close to the window
Back behind.
Oh my
Right.
And about 7 guys up top there, got their schmeckles out there, they peed all over, and I'm helpless in the one little, and it was raining Benny from everything.
Right, that's the truth. That's
Oh,
the
isn't that
truth.
horrible?
And when we used to set up the pins in the bowling alley, instead of trying to hit the pins, they would try to hit us. They would aim at us. And we would jump like crazy maniacs up and down, to get out of the way of the balls.
Janet was about ready to say something.
Well,
Fine.
from there,
Janet
we went to Philadelphia.
Wait a minute, Janet had something to say about that place, right?
Well, it's not that I remember, because I was only an infant then.
Well, I was trying to get
Well-
you,
Wait a minute.
trying to
Right.
get up to
But
your...
at this the pool room that they're talking about that my parents had in New York, they had like a fellow that was deaf. They used to call him Dippy or Deefy. Amy.
That was on 8th Street.
8th Street.
Or 8th Street. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah,
This was something with New York. And
Dippy.
this
She's
man
right, it was
that
New York.
he's talking about,
That was New York.
yes, used to work for help my parents out in this bowling alley because they loved
He
my
was
parents.
deaf.
Yes.
You're right, Janet.
Right. Now, I don't remember that because that was way before my time.
Well, you were a little girl.
No. Afterwards, quite a few years later, when we came to Philadelphia, in this
8th
8th
Street.
Street near the Bijou,
There
This-
was a pool room,
well,
and he worked in the pool room.
Janet, we
No,
left
she's
8th
right.
we left
She's
8th
right.
Street
She-
way before we went to New
Just
York.
She's talking about,
Oh,
she's
just a
right.
minute.
He
She's
came
right.
from 8th Street to New York.
Right.
All right.
Just a
Right.
minute.
Go ahead,
Just a
go ahead,
minute.
you're right.
Well, anyway, this deaf man,
Dippy.
Dippy, followed my parents because he loved them really, and he helped them out. So,
He helped them in the store.
yeah, so mom and pop were busy in the store or whatever, and there was like a little park, small little park in the area, and he used to take me in a carriage, just to take me out and give me some air. Unbeknown to me, when I met Al and I married, and I was getting
Your husband.
my husband, I was getting ready
You
to
read
be
it?
married to
You
him.
did.
He said, in the stories that went on, when he went back and told his grandmother and uncle of these stories, this Dippy turned out to be the one that used to diaper me and take me for a walk when I was an infant. And after all these years, it turned out that he was taking care of me for my husband when we grew up.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
when
didn't
now-
tell him that
now wait.
was your husband's uncle.
That's what I'm saying.
That
when-
was you didn't say
when-
that. That was
when-
your husband's uncle.
When Al was getting ready to get married, he mentioned to his family that he's going with a nice girl and he likes her and whatnot. And they asked what her name is. And he said, Janet Walvick. And when his family was there and this Dippy heard the name Walvick, and he says, Walvick, wait a minute, I know them.
Is that Mom?
Is that Mom's? We used to be on 8th Street. And they found out it was. He said, oh, he's a wonderful woman and a
Yeah.
good family. And yeah, you marry her. She's a good...
And
that's
it
a
turned
good-"
out that he was my uncle
Really?
throughout.
And here you diapered her when she was
Do you
a...
remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were left alone parents had just given up 116th and Lexington Avenue, and they salvaged whatever they could. Bag of beans, a bag of sugar,
Cigars,
and cigarettes. They took out whatever they could, and they went to a show, and they left Phil and I alone in the house.
Right.
Well, we went to the bedroom, and we
Found the cigar.
rooted through there. What kind of mischief can we get into? And we found these boxes of between the acts little cigars.
We smoked.
So we had high
We
out like a light.
we smoked a couple of them, and we were laying across the
We were
table.
dead.
We were on the table. We were like,
Now, give us a trick.
Oh my God, what a trip, I'm serious. High, really high. I thought I was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that was on 44th.
40-foot Parish.
Our parents went to a show this night, and Lil used to take piano lessons on a Lester piano.
An upright.
An
My
upright
father
Lester piano.
bought me a Lester piano.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So anyway, Lil stopped taking her lessons, but they went on the show, they went to a show that night, and
The
Sam
old
and
man.
I was home.
First
We
thing,
were
yeah.
home, and I said to Sam, I said,
One of the keys
one of
stuck.
the keys was stuck on the piano.
One of the keys, 52 front white keys alone. But one of the keys
One was stuck. So I said to Sam, I said, Sam, let's fix the piano. So Sam says, okay.
I don't know what the hell I know about that.
Okay.
He's
So,
fantastic.
so we start taking, I said, I'll fix it. And we start taking the piano
Not really.
apart.
I was handing you the tools, hand me the hammer.
And we
Hand me
start
the hammer,
taking
hand
the
me the
piano
screwdriver.
apart. And I laid down the whole
In the order, the way it's.
keys, all the 50, how many, 82 keys on the floor, 88
Yeah, but all
keys.
in order, the way you took it out.
It was a player piano, and all the parts was on the floor, and
And what was that?
The
I
whole-
was saying, Pops put it here.
the whole,
Yeah.
the whole thing is apart, the piano's apart, and now we're ready to put it together again.
Put it-
When Pop and Mom comes back from the show, and they walk in, they see the piano all
Boy.
holy God, the week. So
I
guess I
Who do you think
could have,
got the worst?
I
got
could've
the
used
shit.
it.
I could have
done
put it together again, but Pop took the piano.
Yeah.
Oh, the piano went
What do you
out.
say, you dirty son of a bitch?
But did we get a lick in that?
Phil, do you remember the time, Irv, in those days it was the Depression, and I think Irv had about $2 to take me to the movies. And Sammy comes in and he has a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Sammy had a
Yeah.
chocolate bar, Phil, remember? And you wanted a piece of the chocolate bar, and Sammy wouldn't give it to you. So finally, you were nudging
No,
this.
he gave me a bite.
Bite.
He said, take a bite.
And
Instead of me taking a little bite, I took a big bite.
He took 3/4 of the
Well,
bar.
anyhow,
My
he
fingers
pushed
went-
the chocolate or something in your
He
eye,
threw it at me.
and the chocolate got in your eye, and it melted in your eye.
You know, I'm going blind.
I'm blind, I'm blind. And we walk in, Irv and I walk in, or we came downstairs from somewhere for the store, and he's screaming, I'm blind. And Irv looks at him, and he's crying, and the chocolate was melting, and it looked like it was, he has $2 in his pocket. We don't know what to do. Pop, Mom wasn't here. We grabbed him in a cab, and we took him over to the hospital, Presbyterian hospital, and they walk in there, and they look at him, they flush his eye out with a little bit of water, and it's all done, and they take him, they said, it's all right, it's nothing, it's just a little bit of chocolate. They go.
Well,
We got home, we had no money for a day or nothing, Irv was gonna kill him.
Meantime, I went for 3/4 of a bar of
A
chocolate.
piece of chocolate.
He asked for a bite, it's
got
so big. Instead of taking a bite, a normal bite,
much better
it
food.
looked like fingers with it.
It's Phil's
Well,
that story.
wait, that was on 44th Street.
Alan? Yeah, that's Alan.
That was on 44th.
Back on the air.
Okay. Well,
Don't take him too much.
when we went to 44th Street, that was a pretty rough neighborhood. And we being kids, the gangs outside used to pick on us. Well, there was one kid in particularly, his name was Filthy McNasty.
Oh, nasty.
Filthy McNasty. He was an orphan, but he was a mean son of a gun. Yes.
Name
And,
fit to a
and
T.
he used to pick on Janet. So Go ahead, now you go ahead. Don't you remember?
I
Janet?
remember.
He used to, he had a,
So he used to, every time he would see, he was a boy, and Janet was a girl, and every time he would catch her outside, he would beat her up. And beat her, and every time she'd get beat, she'd come in crying. So this one time she came in and she was bawling. And I said, what happened? She said, filthy McNasty.
I was riding a bike, and he always came over and threw me off the bike. I used to cry.
his name was really Paulie more than
So he came in, so she came back in and she said that he beat her and he threw her off the bike. And I said, now you're going back out there. I said, and you're going to get filthy McNasty and you're going to beat him. I said, now if you don't beat him, if you don't fight him, I'm going to beat you.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
I said, you get out there and I'm going to watch you. Now you get him and beat him. Don't stop punching. Go ahead.
So I went out there. I know Phil's behind me. I'm brave. And I know Phil's going to let me get the worst of it. So I go after him. And I go, first thing I want to do is, when he must have just come out of jail or something, his head was all shaved. And I couldn't pull his hair. So I turned around and Phil. He gave me a sock on my nose.
This ain't a bachelor family like your mother's family.
And Phil, he hit me.
You know, he used to talk, holy Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Holy
That's right. Oh, wrong.
You know,
Your name is Frank. She hit me in the nose.
But then you went over and you really laid it in there.
Janet, tell them about Mom when they stole the fur coats.
Alan and Jean, who refused to go on television. However, I'm sure from time to time they're going to be interjecting their comments. With that having been said, I would like to ask one question. How did a shiksa come to get into this family?
The chicks, Helen, you mean Helen?
No.
I'll tell you very frankly, George the Greek talked me into it.
I see.
And your father showed me a bankroll with the 100 ones and 150 on top.
Sam's
making George-
what to say.
Who was it, George the Greek, Helen?
Yeah, he kept pushing us together. We'd come into the Linton's restaurant and he'd say,
Talk louder.
that's a nice Jew boy.
He's a nice
He's a nice Jew boy, one of the nicest on the street.
Well,
He told me she's a nice chick, said.
I did.
Yeah, she's,
Well, I know I met Helen. I didn't meet her, but I saw her for the first time in Linton's in Juniper and Locust. That was the first time I saw you.
I brought him down to see you.
First
I
time?
mean, I had to be approved.
No.
Stay
no,
high.
no.
He
I-
just
Nice for you. Sam brought
just
mom
wanted us
down
to meet your
for me to be approved, right? He brought mom, I remember.
Oh, yes, yes.
I remember that.
When did you meet Mom, Dad?
Surprising.
The first time I met her was on our wedding day. I was young, so I was 5 years old. No, she worked in Lincoln's and I was a taxi cab driver. And our stand was at Juniper and Locust Street. And I was very friendly with a few of the cab drivers, who were my very, very fine friends.
very respectable.
They were respectful.
Yes, they were.
George the Greek
Yeah.
was a very, you remember
Yes,
him?
I did.
Very fine man. He used to call me Jew boy. And we used to eat in Lincoln's at Juniper and Locust Street. And he told me that she was a shiksa, but she's a good shiksa, the kind you like. It's like none of us.
Like none of
So, and I took a liking to her, and she took a disliking to me. And for the longest time, I'm serious, for the longest time when I was eating there, I tried to make time with her, but she didn't know. But finally, when we were reading there, there's a manager of Lynn's, his name was Gallagher. First it was Nelson Loftus, right? Then it was Gallagher. He allowed her on her lunch breaks to come and sit with me on a counter, and we'd eat together.
But you never paid the check.
Yes, oh, that's one thing you were honest.
Right, that one?
I never paid the check for your food, you were getting it
That's
for
right,
nothing.
but you never offered to pay for it.
Right, now, one time, how I became very, very famous. You heard of Martha Ray?
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning in Linton's. She had a half a load on. She was coming out of, she was sitting at the table. She's ready to leave to pay her check. So she left in a hurry. So she scuttled down the floor, and she took a slide right into my arms. I picked her up,
Honestly?
and she said, "Oh, thank you, sir." Not the real black thing.
Yeah, but where'd you grab her by?
Yeah, I grabbed her by the tits, kissed her by the ass. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, sir. But she said, "Oh, thank you, sir. Really nice." Now, across the street, am I talking too much, sir? Across the street was Benny the Bums. That was a nice club.
Right.
Benny the Bum used to come in Linton's after closing hours about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, tell him Benny Bum was a high-class, important man, and
Well,
had a
he
big
had a big
nightclub.
Yes.
He owned a big
Oh,
nightclub.
yes, the 21 Club, which is across the street.
On Broad Street.
Yes, no, this was on Locust Street at the time, 1322 Locust, and 1321, excuse me. And he came into Linton's, and he was very belligerent. He was drunk, and he had a filthy mouth on him. And when it came time to pay the check, Helen was behind the cash cage, and he was trying to pay her, and started passing surly remarks. And I was sitting at the bar at the time of the first stool, close to night, honey. And no, and I'm getting aggravated because he's using foul language to my wife.
She wasn't your wife yet.
To my future wife,
Your girlfriend.
and we're not even girlfriends at that time. But I did like her.
We're not even.
She's a good-looking.
What do you mean dead?
Huh?
What do you mean dead?
Did what?
Then.
I did like her.
I did like her.
How
Almost
about
loved
now?
her. Huh?
How about now?
He's not talking about now.
Will you let me get over the story, please? Now, it's getting worse and worse. His language is getting 4-letter words, 6-letter words, and CC, that's 10-letter words with a hyphen in between it. Oh, I'm starting to burn up. Finally, he makes a pass for like to reach in to grab her.
Really?
I get off the stool nonchalantly. Got a hold of him like this by the neck, slid him right out the door, slid him right, stood him up. I'm a lot younger then. He hit the deck, out cold. Now, he was a prestigious man. He had a lot of connections. And I'm afraid the next day I'm going to get the crap beat out of me. But the next day when I came to work, I was on alert. He came out, he walked right over to me, apologized to me, told me how sorry he was, it'll never happen. And he towed the line, drunk or sober after that.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
And
Gallagher got extra too.
yes, but that's how I met Helen. And we used to take nice little rides with the taxi cab.
You
Beat you down.
never threw the flag.
Hell no. We took rides out to Reardon's, remember Reardon's?
Right.
We used to go out there
Got a hot
for,
dog.
yeah, but no hot dogs, just at 6 o'clock in the morning, we used to park and I used to hold hands and,
Oh, Lover's Lane.
yeah.
One place here.
And I tried several times to get next to
It
her,
wasn't
you know,
6 o'clock.
but
so that's
she
enough.
wouldn't do it. She wouldn't
That's
do it, she
enough.
was tough.
That's
Was
enough.
it love at first sight, Mother?
Yes.
Was it really?
Was it really?
Did you love me?
Yes, I did.
After 25 years, I thought about loving you.
I'm not lying. I'll tell the truth.
Ellen,
I'm not lying.
Ellen, do you remember when Al and I were in Linton's that one night, and Sam happened to be
I
there,
don't remember.
coming
all
with a
this.
cab, and then we went to get out, he introduced, this is my sister and her.
Yes, I brought you and
I
Al.
don't think I was married yet.
No, I don't know.
This is my
I used to
sister
hang
and-
around at Gordon Schools
Right,
at the time.
right, yeah.
And you were
That was the
there.
first time I actually met you, but I never knew that you two were having eyes at one
Oh,
another.
yeah. Do you know what year
No,
she's talking about?
I only knew him a couple months, and he bought beautiful diamond dinner ring.
Really?
Do you
He
remember?
said, this is
I know
a
if you-
Christmas present. I said, I will take it.
Mom got that ring. I don't know if you remember
I
that.
says, I don't know
Mother's.
what I intend with you. I wouldn't take a ring
Do you
from you.
remember Mom had a ring with a big stone, a big
It was
diamond,
a
and with
dinner
several others, a
engagement,
dinner
a
ring.
dinner ring.
Yes,
Do you
yes,
remember that ring?
yes, right.
Originally, from Port Locust, there was a man, I forget, it's Frisco Legs.
Yeah.
His name was, they just called him Frisco Legs. He worked for Carver Reed. He was like a freelancer. He'd get a package of diamonds or whatever it was and go out and peddle them and sell them. But I was very friendly with him. And I'm trying to get next to Helen. And like for a engagement ring, I'm going to give her this ring. That was $300 at the time. And I had like 50 and he let me pay him out. All right, so
What did Bubby and Zeta think of the chicks the first time they met?
well, now, I'm going to leave up to that. So when I approached Helen, I gave her the ring. I
Was
said,
that before I met her? Or,
oh, no, it was before. This is
oh, that
1938.
was way before.
This is 1938. Because we got married 1940.
You got married the same year as me, didn't you, Helen?
October 11th, 1940.
40.
No?
Boy, I don't
Forty-one.
know.
I don't
No,
remember.
40.
Or maybe it was 41. But it was 38 when
40,
this.
Sam.
Huh?
40.
Maybe,
Yeah, because I got married in 40, which was June.
all right, so
July.
Oh, was I
I
married?
think you
I
got
was
married a
married
couple
then.
months later. Or you were
I was
already
married when
married.
you brought me over to, when
thought
I
you were
went,
married
was over
before
to.
you were married, you were probably married in 39.
We were married in 36.
36,
yeah?
right, then
Yes.
you
Because
were.
1936.
38,
Yes.
that sold that little
Aren't you
restaurant.
much younger than Sam?
Oh, sure you were married because you,
A year and a half.
24th Street, sure. it's when we
I got
were-
married at 24th.
Well,
Nice.
anyhow, I know the television's off, but anyhow, what happened, I brought the ring over to Helen, she would not take it. She refused to take it, does not want it, period, and that was all.
She
So
wouldn't
I
let me
became
know.
a good son when I come over to 24th Street. I didn't know what the occasion was, but I gave Mom
There's no more up there.
the ring, yeah, that was.
And that's the ring I broke up.
Yeah, yeah.
Gave each one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So that was Mom. Now, before, about 6 months before that, I went to I went to bars. Remember bars?
Yes, bars.
Yeah.
That's before I was even driving the cab, whatever it was. And he sold me a diamond wedding band for $52.50, $1 a week.
I think it was a set, like a wedding band and a...
No, just a
another
wedding band with 13 diamonds.
Diamonds, I remember that one on top.
So I tried to get I was told it was worth like $12 at the time.
I
So
know.
I took the ring back to bar. No, after I gave Mom the good ring, I want to take this back. As a matter of fact, this Frisco Lakes told me to take the ring back, get your money. So I went back to bars, and they wanted to throw me out. I said, I want to speak to Mr. Barr. Yeah, there was a Mr. Barr. Took me upstairs, and way out in the office, and he emptied out an envelope full of diamonds. They were all his. And I got this little FS ring, $52. He says, these are my rings. There's nobody can tell me how much I can charge for a ring. Who are you to tell me that this ring is $12? My price is $52. That's the price that you pay. So I had to eat the ring. I couldn't do nothing. But in the meantime, with this other ring, this
Yeah.
300 or 3 1/4, whatever it was, but I had $50, and he took the $50, and he let me pay him out. And that turned out to be a good ring.
Yes, right.
It turned out to be a good ring. The big stone had a
Oh, you bought that from Morris?
No, Frisco Lake.
Thanks.
It was in Carver Reed's for $400 or $450, and he got me to, it was.
All right, so let's take
That's
some more.
All right. So anyhow, that was the episode
It's
there.
enough of us. Talk about somebody
I want
else.
to hear about what Zeta said the first time when you met Mom.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't nice.
Wasn't nice.
Well, don't forget that Pop and Mom were strict,
Jewish.
strict Jewish
Well, my mother was a strict Catholic
Yes,
too.
all right. Well, I don't know
But she
that much.
accepted Sam real fast.
Yes. But-
Because I said to her, either Sam and me or nobody. That's all.
But,
It was real
but
fast.
for Pop and Mom
I
to
was
accept,
always like that.
Helen, for Pop and Mom to accept a non-Jew in the family, it was a very against their principles.
Well, it was against my mother's principles
Yes,
too.
true.
But
But
Alan, you can't, look, your mother felt that way, he felt that way, but then they came around afterward. Mom wasn't so mad as Mom.
Mom
was hurt.
Mom
Was hurt a little bit,
Mom
but Pop,
accepted it.
don't forget,
Look, there for the longest time, Aunt Celia used to call us. How's Sammy? How's this? And I was very courteous. I said, all right. And one day he was very sick. And Dr. DeCuzzi wanted to put him, is that when he wanted to put you
Surgery
in a
at the
hospital? And
Not
I
like
told
that.
Aunt Celia, she called again, I said, Sam's sick. So I went out to 9th Street to get some chicken or something to make soup. And when I come back to the apartment on 9th Street, your mother was there. And she said, my son is sick, am I welcome? I said, you're always welcome in your son's house. So he was sleeping, we sat down and had a long talk. And you know what the wind up was?
No.
We don't have to love each other, but we could tolerate each other.
Well, that was all right.
Who said that?
Mom?
Yes,
Yeah. But Pop was different,
your
Helen.
father was not very nice to me at all, period.
Well, understand one thing.
That's what.
I will tell you something. You understand one thing.
Yes,
After I had Walter,
yes. No, I'm going before
no,
we. Before you had
no,
that.
I'm just going to bring, after I had Walter, when we lived in Atlantic City, we were living in Snake Alley, and it was Mother's Day. Your mother come up with a little electric broiler, and she said, your son is giving you a Mother's Day present.
She
And
was
I
wonderful.
says, thank you. I was really happy. That was the first thing I got from either one of your parents. So your father found out about it.
He said, better help my brother.
And he come up to the apartment, and he raised so much hell, and your mother come up after him, and she sat there crying, and he took the broiler home.
He did.
Yes, he did. I mean, I kept quiet a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
years.
true.
He
Yeah.
took the broiler home.
What kind of broiler was it? Say?
It was a real cheap thing.
Well, Pop was very
He was
funny.
stubborn.
Huh?
He was stubborn.
Yeah. But what I was trying to
he
get at,
would be mad, and then he would turn around and
before,
he was good, you
Now,
realize.
you gotta-
when we were on 9th Street, when we were on 10th Street in Philadelphia, and we were having all this trouble, they were coming in from Atlantic City. And your mother and I had gotten friendly by then. And I says, would you come to the house for dinner? And she said yes. And Sam went out to 9th Street and he got kosher chickens and whatnot. And I stood there preparing the dinner for hours. They never showed up.
Pop wouldn't come.
He
Pop
would
wouldn't
not come.
When did you finally kiss and make up?
Oh,
Well, I'll tell you, after he got sick, we used to go pick him up. Then we had him to our house that time.
oh no.
Yeah, but you were friendly.
Oh,
way
sure.
before
It
that.
was friendly in a very,
cold way.
No, it wasn't.
not
Oh,
a,
yeah.
Sam,
Say that he's good to love you, Ellen.
that was afterwards.
Yes, he did love you.
Yeah,
But
that
in
way
the
before
beginning-
that.
Do you remember Grandpa Walter?
Sure.
Did you think he hated you?
No, there was, at that time, from as long as I could remember, everything was always very friendly.
That is right. And you were only about 3 or 4 years old, about 3 years old at the time.
Well, I don't really remember him much before when we came back from California in 1952.
Right, well,
I
you,
was 10. I mean, everything was fine. Fine.
that's right.
Like when we were in Zupin's, we were all together there.
Of course.
Yeah, but what I wanted to interject here was the fact that Pop was a strict Jew. Now, Sam and I both experienced an incident where he never ate pork. He never ate anything that wasn't kosher. And one time we were in Green's restaurant at 4th and Market Street. And we went in there and Pop asked the man there if the beans
were kosher.
was a vegetarian baked beans. And he said, yes, they're Heinz's vegetarian baked
He
beans.
found a piece of
And we bought an order of beans. We ate something else,
Yeah.
Sam and I. We weren't that kosher. We ate anything. But Pop ordered an order of those baked beans, and he ate half of the plate of beans, and he found a piece of pork in there. Well, when he found that piece of pork in there, he almost upset that restaurant. He
Bill?
threw chairs around. Helen, you don't know what he did.
Bill, just a minute. The day that he would not come to my house for dinner,
Well, that
your
was
mother
later on.
had the courtesy and the grace of a great lady to call me and tell me he wouldn't come.
She said he was done.
And I says, well, where did you eat? She said,
Horn
in
and
Horn
Harding.
and Harding. I said, can I ask you a question? Who cooks more pork in their pots and on their dishes than Horn and Harding's? Me?
Are you kosher, Jane?
And she says,
No.
Use both. Meat's kosher or not kosher.
she says, Helen, I can't make him do what he don't want to do. And she started crying.
But he changed, Helen.
When we were in Atlantic City and we were going to California, he still hadn't changed.
Yes, you
To
did.
no.
No.
Your mother come up to
Mother
see
did.
us off.
Yes.
And she said, someday he will change his mind. I said, it's all right with me. I said, I never harmed him. I never hurt
You
him.
were very tolerant.
I says, I won't hurt him.
Helen, you were excellent.
And your mother stood outside that still
Snake
snake alley, and she
She was
was
crying.
crying.
When we left,
She says, I'm not going to see you or Sammy or the children again. I said, yes, you will.
because we moved to California.
But whatever she had in her mind come true. She saw Sammy and the children, but she never saw me. And she said to me, I'm glad you love my son.
Take care of him.
That was
Well,
the
that
last thing she said.
That was typical of Mom.
Yeah.
But Pop was from the old school.
Yeah, he was stubborn.
It
And
took
what he-
him a long
He
time.
was hard to change.
But after this episode with this, where I said to Mom, who cooks more pork in their pots than Horn Harding's? About a month later, she called up and she says, we're coming to Philadelphia. And my mother was there. Now,
And
don't,
Pop came.
he came.
Yeah, well, see.
But he wouldn't
said-
talk. And he was eating spaghetti. He was eating spaghetti, and when it came down to the pie, oh boy, that pie is good.
Yeah.
But we didn't know it. That pie was baked in pure lard.
Yeah, but I didn't
Pure
know.
lard. Her mother baked the
Now,
pie.
wait a minute, that was your fault.
Yeah.
Because we got in an argument. When he asked for the pie, your father, I says, no, you shouldn't eat it. And Sam kicked me. And then we got in an argument. I said, Sam, you have to
But we never
respect
let him
his religion.
But we never let
If
him know.
he didn't want to eat that, you should
But
have
when he
never.
ate it, he said,
Well,
oh boy, that pie is
When
good.
Helen, he came
Oh.
along. He
Yeah,
changed.
but Phil, I didn't want him to eat that pie.
He changed, though,
I was
Helen.
so angry because I think a person, if he has a religious belief, it should be honored.
Well, but
And
under,
I didn't want
That's
him
what
to
I
eat
told my
pie.
mother's too conscientious. That's why I could never make time with her until we got married. She waited until
under the
I was heartsick that he let him eat that pie.
well,
Look,
And he kept asking for more, and we had such an argument after he, and then my mother got offended.
the most important thing is, Helen, that he came along,
She
he
says,
saw it
what's
your
wrong with
way.
it? I said, Mom, they don't eat lard. And I
It
said,
was
you shouldn't
pure.
have had them on the table.
Let's listen to what Phil's going to say.
Right, the most important thing is that he did see it your way, he changed, and he did get to love you.
Yes, he did.
He did love you. I know that at the
Yeah.
end. And he loved you a long time before he died.
I think,
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I think he just didn't want to show it when he finally
He was.
did
he
relate.
broke
He was
down.
stubborn, he was
Yeah.
a stubborn man,
Right.
but he did give in, he went against his
Look,
own conscience.
I respect everybody's religion.
I know, but everyone
I mean,
isn't the same.
But I just spoke up to my mother, Buck, she didn't want an intermarriage neither. And the minute as a matter of fact, my sister-in-law, with my dead brother, God rest him, it was Christmas, and my brother, they used to have parties in their house, Christmas, my sister-in-law's mother's home. And she said, I don't want a Jew in our house. And I heard, well, I went in and told her off, and then my brother come upstairs, God rest him. And she got nasty with him, and for the first time in his life, he never had done it. He slapped her. He says, when my sister married Sam,
He became my brother.
he's my brother.
Who said, which one said this?
Joe, he's
The
dead.
one that
He's
died.
a
Yeah.
real nice guy.
He's
That's the one
my
with the
brother,
retarded
and
kid.
if
Yes.
you can't
I used to
accept
like
him,
He's a real nice guy.
you go to hell. And she took her daughter and went to her mother's house. She was going to leave him. But her mother was smarter than the daughter. Her mother called Joe up and she says, you get your goddamn wife and baby home. She has no place here. And you tell your brother-in-law and sister to come down here. And they have 3 priests down there at the party.
Would you
And
believe?
Sam become the greatest friends with them. They all got drunk together.
Would you believe that I went to their church and I played poker with the priests?
Did you?
Robbing pretty good. It
He's
was
always
around-
got something to make you laugh.
around Christmas time. I took good care of them.
They got so drunk, and they were dancing and singing, and I was sitting up and then, I can't.
Ellen, I'll tell you one thing, and I'm saying this as the truth. I don't think anybody can disagree with me. There isn't anybody in the family who ever spoke against you.
That's right.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
You did.
Who did?
You did.
I did?
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I never did.
Yeah, you told me you wouldn't fix our house unless you had Tuesdays.
Unless what?
To what?
You weren't going to fix our house unless you had Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
Oh, on Tuesday.
Ah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing for the record.
Tuesday, that's his day for sex.
Everybody committee said, this Tuesday open?
You're talking about the fire when you had the
Yeah.
fire? I'll tell you one thing, that job on that fire job, I think I lost money on that deal.
Oh, wait, now
I'm
he's going to send your bill in.
good.
Now he's going to send your bill.
Don't give them an idea that Tuesday was free by saying that.
How much did I get for that job?
10,000, that's.
No, I did, 6,500. What do you
Maybe
mean
it was-
10?
maybe
You
it was-
collected 10,000.
Oh, yeah.
No, we didn't.
How much did you collect?
We had to give a percentage to the adjuster.
But you made a profit on it.
No, we didn't.
You didn't.
The adjuster got 20%.
Because I charged 6,500.
We
You
did
better
get a
send the
better
bill in.
Huh?
house. We did get a better house.
Oh, sure
But we
you
didn't
did.
make no profit.
Well, you had
We
your whole house
had to pay the
redone.
adjuster.
Well, I think you want to send them a bill now. After all,
And
you
for what?
just
Another half
Do it
a
for
buck.
Yeah, but Phil, you were supposed to replaster the whole thing. You put paper over the
You
hallway there. You took a
Alan,
shortcut.
you
We
remember
smelled
right
smoke for a
before-
long time.
I think it was.
No, you washed the walls down.
Yeah.
That was because you sold them a horse.
Now, you know what
It
happened?
was a
then?
mule.
You know what happened at that particular time was I didn't know, but I got another job, a big job on top of that one. So I couldn't be on both jobs at the same time and I neglected one, and I couldn't
You
be.
neglected the sister-in-law and the brother.
Oh, I lost it.
That's true.
I didn't
Dad.
make out on either
Night of
one.
the fire, Helen?
You come in at the strawberry.
Right. And the sour
Come
cream.
in and make the salad.
And the sour cream.
She opened the refrigerator.
Yes. You open the refrigerator.
You don't remember
Just
that?
say she didn't do it.
I did not.
Wait, the night of the fire?
Yes,
Yeah, we were there.
we were there.
You don't believe it.
You opened the refrigerator and you
That's
said,
right.
no sense
Strawberries
wasting
and cream.
these. And you took out the strawberries and cream and you were standing eating them when they walked in.
It was all black. It was all burned up.
No, I did not. Wait,
Right away.
The night of the fire, wait a minute.
we were at the Raven.
You had all come to my house, it was 2 or 3 days before Beverly's wedding, right?
We took, say,
It
the
was Christmas.
Raven
It
and
was
we
Christmas
took one or
Eve.
two
Well,
of
just a
Wait
minute.
a minute. Let Lil explain how it was.
It was 2 or 3 days before Beverly's wedding. Beverly was married Christmas Eve. And you
Beverly's your daughter.
The fire happened to be.
Now, just a minute, Helen.
Liberal
Let me
arts.
just
Love
a
the
minute.
game. Love-
And you came over to our house, you know, we were all gathered together, and you said, come over, we're going out to eat. And I said, no, I can't go with you. I had some sewing to do or whatever to do. So you and everybody went to the Raven to eat. And I'm sitting there getting these things ready for the wedding, when Lodge calls up on the phone.
Yeah, I know.
Is Helen there? Sammy there? I said, no. He says, where are they? I said, they went out to the restaurant to eat. He says, Lil, do you know where they're at? Their house is burning down. I'm standing out here watching it burn. I said, oh my God, they're over at the Raven. So I called the Raven, just try and get them. I called the Raven, and they went over, they called you to the phone, and you went home to the
I
fire.
answered
But
it.
I was not at the fire. I never
Of
saw
course
that.
not, she
Oh,
does.
after the
So
fire.
Yeah.
we just
It was
took a
Of
run
course.
after the
While the
fire.
place was, the firemen were there, you opened the refrigerator door. You said it
No,
don't-
Sam, if I remember correctly.
No, they were gone.
They were
It was a
gone.
policeman was there.
A policeman
And
was-
I was sitting on a chair in the dining room crying.
Right.
It's in their Christmas.
You said, no, you see one of the way. You opened the refrigerator door.
Right, wait a minute.
Oh.
It was Christmas Eve. I believe it was Christmas Eve.
No.
A couple of days before Christmas.
No, the fire was December the 7th.
December the
The
7th.
fire was December the 7th.
Okay.
Pearl Harbor.
Okay. Gene and I took a ride.
See the Christmas tree.
We said, let's go up to Sam and Helen and we'll see their Christmas tree.
Did you bring your water bottles?
That?
Yes.
No. So we always come up to see your Christmas tree. And we pull up on
Oh my
Eaton.
God, I got
We
sick.
pull up on Eaton Road and I park on the other side and I thought, they're not home. The lights are all out. It's dark. And then we're looking and the windows are open and it's dark inside and then we walk in there and my God, the place was a mess.
Right, this
It was
is,
a fire.
It did well.
It was,
Don't say it didn't
Yeah,
do
we
it.
and we come in
I
there
will take an oath on my dead
and we
pet.
come
I
in
said
there and
yes,
we
but-
walk in there and
Yeah,
oh
they
my
saw it.
God,
we
everything was.
remarked, we remarked.
My brother
When
saw
we
it.
come in there, we're standing in there and Lil walks in
Oh, what a mess.
and she said, oh my God, and she walked into the kitchen.
It's
And the
dark, well.
refrigerator was black.
Right.
And she took out some strawberries.
Looks like
But
something's
there
going
was
away.
something wrong.
Yeah, she said nothing.
Strawberries at Christmas time?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It was
Lil, I have
December
one
the
question.
7th.
Lil, I have one question.
Oh, we should have.
You're obviously suppressing this, but were they good?
Well, really good. I think you-
You
I
said,
don't ever remember even seeing the house burn.
you s-
Because
No,
the
we
house
didn't.
was burnt. How could I get in there to see the house burn?
You,
It was
you
a
didn't
shambles
see
and
it
everything.
burn. You
the
come
front
in.
door was open,
You
Lil.
come in to see what happened.
And Gene ain't gonna lie, Lil.
I don't mind.
Gene
Well,
ain't
it was the
gonna lie.
4 of us there,
That's
and
true.
my
We were
brother was
talking
there
about
with
it.
his
We were-
wife. There were 6 of
We were
us.
in the huddle talking
Maybe
about how
she was
could
in
you
the
do it at
state
such a
shop.
time like this.
Yeah.
Ellen was crying at the time.
It was a hell of a thing to, call up and tell somebody your house is burned.
Can we change the subject?
Yeah, it's all
Good.
Janet,
What?
when did you first meet Al?
The first time she met him was on her
On the
own.
sink, on a sink. You got to tell me.
Oh, yeah, well, tell that story.
Oh, at the Y.
Yeah, Jim John
At
used
the
to go to the
Y
Y.
of Gordon Pine.
Right.
And they held dances there and I really, I can't.
You,
Oh, come on,
you meant, you saw this
You were
guy.
jealous, you were trying to make him and he wouldn't give you the eye.
You
All the other
saw-
girls were going after him, going fishing.
I can't.
You can't.
Well, what do you mean?
Oh, leave her
What-
alone, she'll
what's-
break it down.
No,
What-
no.
Wasn't you trying to get his attention
Right.
every time you come back? You
Yeah, but
told
he had
Mom.
too many girls on his
All right,
lap.
but you came home
Yeah,
and
I
said,
remember
oh,
when you came
Mom,
home.
I saw him, I
No,
saw him.
no, no, she said, Mom, I finally met him.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember.
Then what? Then what did she say?
I remember after that.
So Mom said, well, good, when are you gonna bring him? When am I gonna meet him? I go, oh, I'm not gonna bring him here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit in the back of the restaurant and with the mums out there and they're gonna make fun of me.
Was this 24th Street now?
Yes.
So then she fixed up the next door house.
So she said, I said, can't we move? We can have the restaurant.
You were
and
ashamed.
then-
You were
Yeah.
ashamed.
So anyway, little by little, she bought the little property next door and then another one, till she bought near the corner, the little houses.
She fixed up
And
the,
she
Fix them
started
up.
to fix it up.
made a
And
little living room.
I said, don't fix it up because I will not move in there. There was gas manholes instead of electric lights. There was an outhouse.
Yeah.
There was slanty floors.
There was no
It was
bathtub.
dark.
Yeah.
It was
The neighbors
dark.
used to
I
get
said,
washed the bathtub.
you're not gonna fix that up. Well, little by little, she started to fix it, and the plastering was done, and she made archways. And she said, well, here's the books to pick out the paper. You might as well pick them out, because if you don't, we're gonna pick out what we want.
Come here.
So then I sneaked in, and I started looking around, it looked nice. It was beautiful. So then I came back and I started picking out the paper. Then she said, I said, what are we gonna do for furniture?
Well, this is, how about Al, when you didn't bring him home yet?
No, no.
How old were you then, Ken?
I got married when I was 23, so this had to be about 6 months before. But it was completed was about 6 months before.
Well, when did you meet him? Were you 22 or something?
1940, I married him. Oh, no.
Yeah, about a year or so before you.
Yeah, the Halloween before.
Yeah. Went to a Halloween party.
At our house.
You were about
We
21,
closed the store,
20.
we made a
You
Halloween
were
party.
20 or 21? When
I was
you
23 when I got married, so it was.
What are you, a virgin?
You know, he would take her home from the dance and he'd say, why do I smell donuts?
Oh, no, they were dancing at the Y. And while we were dancing, he was like taller than me, and he says, I smell donuts frying. And I started embarrassing him. I said, oh, no, you don't. He says, yes, I do. Well, it so happens my bedroom was above the bakery part of our restaurant, and all the odors and everything would go right up, and that's what he was smelling. So anyway, one day we were coming home from a date, and Al only wanted to come in, and I didn't want him to come in. So it was cold, so he took me home in a cab, and Mom was waiting, saw the cab come, and she went outside in the freezing cold with the big apron. She waited for that cab, and as soon as the door opened, she goes out, she says, Peter, you're Albert. How do you do? I'm Janet's mother. And she takes him under the arm. I wasn't even out of the cab yet. And she starts walking him in and sat him down in the restaurant. They started to talk. And I walk in and I'm trying to motion that to Mom, don't say this, don't do this, don't that. She kept right on going. And then Al, she says to Al, tell me, what do you think of my place? So Al says, well, do you want me to be nice to you? Or do you want me to tell you the truth? Oh no, tell me the truth. He says, well, to tell you the truth, you really have a gold mine here. He says, but you're running it like a greasy spoon. That was what he said. She says, well, what should I do? He says, well, you want to get rid of this and get rid of the booze and do this and that. It didn't take 1 month, really, but it was all completed. She got rid of all that, and really, we We did approve the business then. And whatever she said after that was fine.
Before
And
you,
he kept coming around.
before you got married, were you allowed to hold hands in front of Bubby and say,
Oh, yeah, but I never did.
It was.
She was always
I
shy.
never did because it was in a restaurant.
Janet
There was
shy.
always, we were never closed, and there was always men
No
hanging,
privacy.
men
They
hanging
didn't have
around.
the privacy.
Some fell asleep, some came in for coffee, some came off the trains.
Railroad.
The cab drivers used to, there was always somebody in there. And they used to see me every day. And if I walked in with a boyfriend, they would
All
like
eyes.
to talk, you know, or whisper. So, no, we used to sit at the table and have coffee and all. But when Mom got that little house, then I used to bring him
He
home.
used to come over there.
Yeah. And we used to sit and neck and talk and everything. And Mom, and all of a sudden, the back door would open from the house because it was like 1 yard to the restaurant. All of a sudden, Mom would come in through the back. Hello, Albert. How would you like some coffee, some donuts? Always fed him coffee and donuts. And he just took a liking to
You
it.
like donuts?
And
And you
at
know-
that time, yes. And then the first time she introduced, she calls me up, she says, come on over. She says, Albert's going to be here. So
Did you call him Albert or Slip?
in the beginning, Slip, that was his
Slip.
name. Well, anyhow, so I'd come over to do the inspecting, you know, pass my judgment. He had a boyfriend, Marty, Maxie Oldham. He was handsome. More, I was good looking too, but
You better say it.
but you better say it, but more,
Marty.
but Maxie was
Marty was a good
handsome. So I'm looking at the two guys, and actually I think it's Maxie that she's going with. Ooh, he's handsome, he's this, he's that. So then she goes over, she puts her arms around him or something like that, and she comes back to me, and I said something, or I don't even know if I showed you a picture of them on the beach, or something like that.
Bone legs.
No, first I said, who, that long, lanky thing? That skinny thing? I thought you meant the other guy, not this one. I said, with the bald head. Yeah, then she shows me, she says, oh, look how handsome. She shows me the picture. I said, he wouldn't stop a pig up an alley. Well, who you going with? Was chicken legs. He never forgave me. He never forgave me for that. Chicken legs.
Sam, not getting off the subject, just for a minute. Who is that fella I told you I met that lived a couple doors from your mother? I was telling you about him. Oh, he was a salesman in Lane Bryant shoes. I even told you the name.
Yes.
Because when he looked at the name, you know,
Yeah.
I had to give him my name because I gave him a check. He said, Walvick. This is just a couple weeks. I said, what? He said, Walvick. How are you a Walvick? He said, I know all the Walvicks.
Taylor, was it, or?
He said he lived about 2 or 3 doors from your mother's house.
Husband Taylor.
And
The
he,
Taylors.
nice looking guy. And he said,
Oh, Briggsy, was it Briggs?
I can't remember that. I told him. But he said they had the restaurant and the B&O, and he says they had, he said Mom used to feed everybody on credit.
Oh, yes, that's Briggs.
Briggs,
Yes.
Briggs.
The
He
older
said-
Briggs.
He said Mom used to feed everybody on credit, but he said the old man was a little tougher. And then he said there were Sam and Phil and Jane and Lil. And I said, He said, next thing, why'd they ever sell that property? I said, well, that was family business, I guess. He said, you know it was just sold for recently? I said, no.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Recently, he was talking about 4 years. He says 250,000.
Oh, I don't believe that.
He did,
Oh, yes,
Sam.
Sam.
I don't
Sam.
believe no.
Sam,
Sam, listen
he
to
knew
me.
what he was talking about.
Sam, do you know on radio they advertise
250,000.
the Morgan's restaurant with French cuisine or whatever
Yeah.
at the corner of 24th and Sansom
He's
Street?
our neighbor. They're our neighbors.
Well, that's the one that.
Yeah, but they live on McGee
They
Avenue.
pay
All right,
the
but that's 24th
I
and
know,
Sansom.
Morgan.
This
Is that
our
right?
corner.
Yes.
Our
This
corner.
guy knew
No,
what
that's
he
fine.
was, and he says,
It's
you
within
tell
Harry
Sam,
Applebaum's corner. It's
He
down,
didn't have a corner though,
it's
Harry.
down the street.
Her
Oh,
parents.
because I know this is all apartments, there's no restaurant.
No, it's down the street. You know where
he
it is?
says
He
to
used
me,
be.
say hello to Sam, and just tell him it was a sorry thing they sold a building.
Well, there's a big building up there where the B&O is now. Big high building.
You You know, talking about that building, the B&O, you still had red caps that were working there, 75 and 8, when we were there in the 30s.
80 years old.
75 and 80,
Right.
from the Civil War.
Remember the bow-legged one?
Yes.
People like bandy-legged, a little
Slavery,
old man.
from slavery
Right,
days.
right.
Then when they used to say, I'm the head man here, I carry some bags on my head. I carry some the
So
trunks on my
anyway, the
head.
end result of this conversation was,
Yasso, they used to say
he
Yasso,
says,
Yasso boss.
Mom Walvick was without a doubt the nicest person that was ever born.
That's right, that's right.
And he said the whole family was a beautiful family.
No, but nobody ever had a
It's
bad
good.
word.
Yes, he said.
Nobody ever had a bad
No.
word
He
from Mom.
he said she was without a doubt one of the most beautiful people that
Yes,
was
she
ever
was.
born.
She
And
never
he says,
turned
as a
anybody
matter of
down.
fact, the whole family was a beautiful family.
She never,
That's
Ellen,
something
she
that's
never
not-
turned
And
anybody
he knew,
down
he knew
for a cup of
everything
coffee.
intimate about all his people. And he said, if you ever remember, and he told me the name and like.
Must have been Briggs.
I'm gonna
Because
go back,
there was two
I'm gonna go
brothers.
back
It
and
must be
research.
Briggs.
There was two brothers, a
But-
younger one
but-
and an older one.
It's not nice to talk about the deceased, but do you remember the story when Pop was working behind the counter? He was clipping the nose,
He
and
always
somebody
said-
says, a ham sandwich? He said, a ham sandwich? Yes. Do you remember the story or no? It's not nice to say this.
So get back to Al, you saying about working in the restaurant. When the trains used to come in, Pop used to holler, trains in, hurry up, everybody down.
Oh, my
everybody
God,
down." Oh, that was when Elsa Pop and the
Yeah,
train.
everybody had to run
After they
downstairs.
closed at the
Wait,
girl, the Elsa Pop and
below
Olsen
the
and
sandwiches and
Olsen
making
and
coffee.
Johnson.
So I'll stand
Before
behind the
that,
counter
used to
one time, and they ran
line up
out,
the bread.
they ran out of hot dogs.
That was the time when the Olsen and Johnson,
Well,
when they
why-
were leaving.
well,
Yeah, they were
Well, the train
trying
was
to
Why don't we
rest.
finish?
Well, wait a minute,
finish
the
with
train was
Jen?
in. So he's cutting the hot dogs, you talked at him, cutting the hot dogs, and there's no hot dogs. So he puts the hot
The
dogs in.
last hot dog.
The last hot dog, he cuts the roll, puts it in, pulls it out, and puts the butter roll on the
They
back.
took the hot dog.
Puts
put it
the
in the
roll
bus.
in, he cuts the roll out. He sold out hot dog 50 times.
No, they were hungry.
did that?
Oh,
The
but
girl
he used to
had
tell the
closed.
story of how he sold that hot dog.
Father,
The show had closed at the Earl, and it was the last night, it was the closing night of Elsa Poppin, that Olsen and Johnson thing. And they packed up their things, and they were leaving town, but leaving on the B&O. And the train was due very shortly, or it was in already. And
Yeah,
they
they
all
hungry.
rushed in. They wanted to eat, but they didn't have time. They were hungry. So Pop ran around. Everybody come down. It's busy, the train's in. So we all, whoever it was, even Al, came down. And they took out like 2 or 3 big loaves of sandwich breads, opened them up, and took a slice of cheese, put it on the other one,
Yes.
and set it down.
just keep pushing it down.
And then we came, and some of them wanted hot dogs, so they came to the last hot dog. So they had a jar, a bowl that we put the mustard in. So they took this one hot dog, they put it in mustard, and with one hand they held the roll, the other hand they put the hot dog in, and then they pulled it out, set it down to be wrapped up. That's like, that one hot dog makes
But
we didn't know what was going on.
That went on a train.
We didn't know what was going on.
That went on a train.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't know what was going on until after it was all over. We were saying, oh boy, wasn't that something? So Pop would say, I think this one went out without paying. And this one, they were walking out, they didn't have time to get
The money.
collect the money. So then there was, Al says, yeah, I was running out of cheese. Instead of putting 2 slices, I put 1 slice on, and another slice of bread on, and set it down. So Pop says, what are you talking about? I had the 1 hot dog left. They all wanted the 1 hot dog. So I put it in the mustard and in the roll. But that was
Remember the
really...
butchers used to call from Baltimore when it being.
Oh, the train was
But
coming
when
in.
80 hams and
And a gallon,
And
2 gallons of coffee.
10 gallons of coffee. We'll be there in 40 minutes.
They got it, they got it.
And
Well,
I
I had
think,
to go to 21st and Market at Fleischman's Bakery, pick up 5 loaves of bread or 10 loaves of bread real fast, and bring them in, open them up, spread them on the counter, and the slicing machine to be
yeah,
working.
right?
Tick, 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 tick. They were all ready.
And I think that's one of the main reasons for the B&O like that, the train.
Yeah,
That
what
we never
happened
closed, that we
You
stayed
know,
open.
What
Seriously,
happened with the people just
Helen?
hot dog roll?
Helen, let me give you an
We
idea of
never saw
prices.
them again,
Let me
Helen.
give you an idea of prices. Today you pay $3.50 for a ham sandwich, $1.75, 2.5.
They were 10 cents.
10 cents a sandwich.
Yeah.
5 cents?
5 cents for cheese.
I know, it was 10
5
cents.
cents for Pepsi Cola.
No, Sam, that was 10 cents if they got ham in the
If they got
sandwich.
it.
If they just got a bread
10
sandwich.
cents
And
is...
Charlie would come out, cut them at
Oh,
best Charlie Donuts.
No, he wasn't there
No,
like when they,
no.
when the train came.
No.
No, we did our own baking. We had our own bake shop.
What did you
But the
bake
Scribe
that
the
one
baker-
time?
But we
With the
always,
turpentine,
But
and
we-
turpentine.
No, he baked something when I was working there.
Yes, he did.
Cinnamon
I
rolls.
baked corn muffins.
Yeah, but it come out like
Oh,
rock.
no, no.
Oh, yes.
We had a
Sometime
good
it was lousy,
recipe,
Phil.
corn muffins and cupcakes. we
You
made.
did something wrong. You
No.
admitted it.
You were the baker.
You admitted it.
They were
You
drunk,
put
yeah,
something
they
wrong
come
in the
out.
batter.
Come out, man.
Did I?
Yeah,
Corn
one time you
muffins.
did. They
And
come
we
out.
laughed like hell because you work like hell.
Oh, I used to
And they
make the
come
corn
out,
muffins.
and they come out like rocks.
Well, this
But
baker,
old Charlie was Popeye.
Popeye.
He was a
That was
baker.
Ben's
He was a
birthday.
he looked
German
like
baker.
Popeye.
He was a German baker, but he was a good baker.
Yeah.
He never had to weigh anything. He'd take it with his hands and put so much of this and so much of that, mix it up, and
Because one eye was watching
yeah.
everybody
So
come
he
out.
would come through. He'd come out with the hot big pans of cakes or whatever. He'd come out this one time, and he'd bring it out in the store and put it on the counter, and he'd pick it up like this. He'd say, this is jelly donuts. Jelly donuts. He said, 2 for 5. 2 for 5. Big
Best got
donuts.
them Charlie Donuts.
Big donuts with pure jelly.
No, but when
Pure
they
jelly
got them
for a nickel.
No, well, but when he would say how good the donuts was, he'd never look at the donut. He'd put his head up like this, and his eyes was crossed like that turban, and they would start blinking up there. That's good jelly donuts. That's 2 for 5.
yeah,
And his eyes would cross, but
everybody's so laughing at him.
oh god.
Popeye.
I remember when they were kidding him when he was leaving with the suitcase on the outside.
But-
They said, what do they call him, bacon or something?
No, Bake was the little guy who
Popeye.
Yeah, but he took his suitcase and swung around. It swung him around on pavement.
You can laugh.
Weren't there for a while.
The baking on 24th and Sansom Street.
It was good.
The coffee, you don't get no Danish pastry today like that.
We had
The cinnamon buns even
Consider-
were.
we
you
had-
don't get any Danish pastry today as good as what he baked.
That was all pure stuff.
Pure,
Yeah.
It was all pure
the
ingredients.
different kind of flour, the different kind of butter that he used.
You asked me because it smelled good, so good, it was all over my clothes. It was in my hair.
And the jelly rolls.
Jelly donuts.
The jelly
Even
roll.
made jelly roll, you know? And
Yeah.
nobody till,
Right.
not to today, nobody knows that we'll go, we can make a tapioca pudding or a rice
Like
pudding,
Felix?
like they used to make in that restaurant.
Like
Or a clam
Felix.
chowder,
Oh,
or a
that-
clam chowder.
oh, that bread pudding.
nah.
The bread pudding was on it, was like a brown
Bread
bread.
pudding was all right.
Used to be like
Nothing like
custard.
that tapioca or rice pudding. I've traveled all over and everywhere we go, we try to, we'll say, let's try it. Nothing.
Well, Lil, you say nobody. Horn and Hardens had excellent food at that time.
Yeah, but
Real-
they didn't
wait-
make tapioca pudding like
Wait
mine.
a moment, wait. Horn and Hardens had excellent food at the time. Their vegetables unsurpassed. You could, nobody.
Nobody could beat.
But as times grew, as times went on, it seems like the vegetables, the foods, the raw materials
take
have
your pie out?
deteriorated more and more and more.
I'm not
The-
saying about the vegetables, I'm just saying that rice
About
pudding,
the tapioca, the rice, everything, the ingredients that's used for it is not the same today.
you know what, I mean, not today, but when, even at that time, when Mom was in the restaurant business at that time, Nobody could beat it.
Al used to say, remember they used to go in and they used to give you a club roll?
Yes,
A good, like almost like
Yes,
an oblong
yes,
looking
yes.
club roll. And Al used to eat them all the
a
time.
box roll they used
Yeah.
to call it.
Well, and it came to a point where we used to go in, that was Al's favorite dining place.
They still have it today, but
Yeah,
nothing
but
like
he
it.
said, I don't know what kind of rolls. First of all, they looked half bent. They were like pale. And he said, they're frozen rolls. And he kept saying, they're not like they used to be.
That's right.
And that's when I think when either Horn or Hardin really had gotten sick and it was going down and they were contemplating selling. And after a while, that's exactly what happened.
Did you know that Mr. Hardin lived a block and a half away from us? When we were 24th and Sansom?
Yeah,
His home was there,
they lived at
and he was
24th
still alive when we were there.
on
and
Little
he's-
Street near Waverly
On
Street.
24th Street, near close to Waverly.
Near Waverly.
On 24th. Now, he used to go, and he never drive, he used to walk to his places, Horn and Hardin's, just traveling as far as 15th and Market. Go in there, sit down, go to the automatic, get a piece of pie or something.
To
or
inspect
get,
and see
yeah,
what they're doing.
and to find out what they're doing with his business. Yeah, he used to,
But when they changed hands,
it's just a couple of blocks away from us.
Yeah.
I remember that. That's
Speaking
Mr.
about,
Hardin.
speaking about changing,
Dean, you have to tell me about
Okay.
the two famous waitresses.
so now we have Phil and Jean telling about how they first met.
Well, I was invited to a birthday party, like I said. Was that on there?
Yeah, he heard.
No?
Start over again?
I was invited to
Can't stand it.
a birthday
Sorry,
party,
sorry.
Put it out.
No, over there, it's all right.
and the purpose of my invitation was to meet a friend of ours, Esther Yanov's girlfriend, Shiksa girlfriend. She was a Shiksa. She was supposed to be a Shiksa, and it was Esther's girlfriend, and that date was supposed to be for me. So I accepted the invitation, and I came to the party. And we walked into this hat store where the party was, in the rear of the hat store. And Esther said, well, there's your Shiksa sitting back there in the back chair, on a living room chair.
Meet my Shiksa girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what she said. This is my Shiksa girlfriend. So I said, oh, she's cute, Esther. So I went over and I started talking to her. And I said, just start the conversation. And within about 5 or 10 minutes after meeting Jane, I said, well, what's in the front of the store? I said, let's go out in the front of the store. Nobody was in the front of the store. She said, it's a store, it's a hat store. I said, well, let's go out there and see what's doing. And there was a stairway in the store going up to the second floor. So I said, let's go upstairs and see what's doing upstairs. So Jean says, nothing doing. That's right. It wasn't 15 minutes, I was trying to take her upstairs. But
Just like the Walvicks.
but she wouldn't go for it. So anyway, we went back into the back and danced and had some refreshments. And I thought, I couldn't make out this time. I'll try another time. So I come around another time. I still couldn't make out. So anyway,
What year was this?
this was in 1935. 1935.
You were married when?
36. So anyway, I was going with a friend of mine, Jack Fagan, and we used to go out together, and he had a crush on another girl, and she had a girlfriend, and we were getting a little to the point where we were thinking of going steady and whatnot.
You and Jack or you and Jake?
No, going out. Jack was going.
Oh, he was going with that Dorothy Goldstein.
That's right. He was going with Dr.
Yeah,
Goldstein.
you, I think. Did you take her around?
No, I used to go with her. I used to go too. But her father, Dorothy Goldstein's father, Jack was her boyfriend.
But they liked Phil.
But the father and the mother told Dorothy Goldstein, I think the other fellow, Phil's a nicer guy.
Sure.
Because Jack was a
but they told Dorothy, why don't you try to get Phil? But Jack was still with there, and then I had met Jean at the Shiksa, who later on I came to the house one time and I found her parents were just come over. I guess they sounded, her sister sounded like she just came over. So then I found out she was Jewish. So anyway, didn't make that much difference. I was already the girl. So one day we were in the restaurant. I was working. I was wearing white pants. I was dressed as a waiter, and I was wearing an apron. And we had a 1929 Packard.
27 Packard, yeah.
27 Packard. Rumble seat. So it was a hot day, I guess. So I said to my mother, I said, Mom, I said, it's hot in there in the restaurant. I said, how about, come on in, we'll take a ride. Come on, I'll take you for a ride. And Mom was working in the kitchen, and she was wearing an apron and whatnot. So I said, come on, I'll take you for a ride, Mom. So where did I take her? I take her up to Stormwood Mansion.
To see both girls.
So I took her up and I let her meet Dorothy Goldstein. So then, and I said, I know this girl, Mom. So then we come around about 2 or 3 blocks away, and I said, here's another girl I know, Jenny. Her name was Jenny.
Jenny, right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, her name was Jenny. So I said, so I come out, so I let her meet, and we came up with white pants. I was white pants and a neighbor, and Mom was working.
I hated those white pants.
So anyway, so we took a ride, and we got back, and...
Was Jenny took a ride with you?
No.
Mom was with
So anyway, we took a ride, we came back, and that was it. So a couple of days, 2 or 4 days later, I said to Mom, I said, I think I'm gonna call call the girl, my friend. So she says,
I gotta change my name to Jean.
later you did.
Before.
So anyway, she says, I think the second girl was a nicer girl. Yeah, she said,
He would have been a widow now. He would have married this daughter.
Yeah.
Really?
He says,
She died.
He says, I think the other girl's a nicer girl. Well, so I forgot all about it for quite a while. So anyway, I couldn't find the phone number. I didn't have the phone number. So I got information of a drugstore at the corner of 31st and Cumberland.
Levy.
Yeah. So they gave me a drugstore. I said, could you do me a favor? I said, there's a girl by the name of Jenny that lives near the corner.
She was in the store at the time?
No.
No, he knew it.
So anyway,
Family.
so they said, okay. They sent down the street for a girl, and the girl came up, and she said, hello. I said, is this Jenny? And I said, well, it don't sound, she said, yeah, my name's Jenny. I said, well, it don't sound like the girl that I knew, that I was
You're
with.
wrong. I didn't know you'd done when my name was Jenny.
Well, regardless, whatever. So anyway, I got the druggist back on the phone. I said, no, that's not the girl. I said, the girl was near the corner. So she said, oh, I know who you mean. So anyway, they sent over and they got Jean came to the phone.
Did you give him a nickel, Gene?
It was those days where you called to the phone at the
You get a
corner
nickel.
You
store.
paid a nickel. Nobody had a phone then.
No, I'm saying when you went to call someone on the phone, they used to send someone over there to
Yeah,
get them, and you gave them a nickel.
That's right. That's when I don't know if you gave him a nickel or not, did you?
Nickel. I was a kid then, till I was 18.
Well, I did. That's what I said.
Where has he embellished the story in, Gene?
What?
Where has he embellished the story? Where did he tell little fibs?
I didn't hear you.
Where-
I'm sorry.
Where did he tell little fibs?
What did he tell
Any
us?
lies?
Did he
Oh,
try to
about
take?
my name.
Did he try to take you?
About my name.
Did he try to take you upstairs after 15 minutes?
He tried, but he didn't succeed.
Gene was too
If
smart.
I know no, I was naive. I was only 18. when I
Remember,
met her.
Phil, when you brought her over to meet me, when I was living in 55th and Woodland Avenue, and Marilyn was a little girl, the little baby in the crib yet, and she
She was
Oh,
so
yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
And I had to,
Beautiful curls.
yeah. And that she kept saying, oh, the girl, she couldn't get over her
Yeah,
curls.
yeah. Marilyn,
Beautiful baby.
Marilyn's a little baby.
Yeah, and you were sitting at the table. She was so shy. She was afraid to handle the. She was afraid to eat. She was so shy. She kept looking at him.
Well, Jean always is shy. She
Yeah,
always
so
was.
shy.
She's still shy.
How long did it take?
I'm gonna do it over again, I'm gonna get
Why
one
don't you
for
listen
19,
to
I'm gonna
Walter's
do it.
plans?
What book?
How long did it take before you did take you upstairs?
He didn't,
No,
He said, how long? Well, tell him how long it took.
a year and a half later, when we got married.
All right, that's what
you made him wait that long?
It was about a year. It was about a year.
No, we went for about a year and a half, I think.
Was it?
Was it good, Gene? I mean,
Yeah.
She got an answer.
I thought it was.
She got an answer.
Was it? What did you think of him the first time you met him?
Well, I don't know. I thought,
He means did you
I don't
like
like
him?
I don't like his clothes. He used to come up in those white pants, I couldn't stand them.
With white ducks.
They are
He was
horrible.
a lousy dresser.
They taste like, they smell like,
So,
Smell like food.
like
they
those.
smell like breast
Smell like
meats.
food.
Really, did he? Did he?
Well, in those
That's
days,
food.
in those days, I was working and I was getting $15 a week. And I would take Jean out and we would go out and get a corned beef sandwich for a dime and a 12-ounce bottle of Pepsi
Oh, that was
Cola
a corner from us.
for a nickel.
That's,
So for 30 cents, we had a date. We had 2 corned beef sandwiches and 2 bottles of Pepsi Cola, and that was it. Now, once in a while, we would go to the
ice
movies.
cream,
We would go to the movies, it was 20 cents,
15 cents.
15, 20 cents for the movies, and 15 cents for chocolate nut sundae with a load of walnuts
You
on
wouldn't
it.
believe that, you wouldn't believe it.
15 cents
That
for,
was,
at Flammer's.
Warmers, yeah.
Right.
Warmers.
So-
Homemade ice cream.
So Jean liked ice cream, she still
I got
does.
that nurse.
And we
Yeah, almost the 33rd
Yeah.
range.
And,
I'll tell you one thing, you were a good-looking mother then.
yes. And then,
Yeah, he was
She's
a
a good-looking mother.
Bubba.
and then we went, and we were in the restaurant. So I tried to get Jean to help me out in the restaurant, and she became a waitress. And along with my sister Janet, so we had 2 of the best waitresses in
That was
Philadelphia.
after we were married.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
this
that's
was
right.
after we got married.
Tell them how we used to send the customers to the other place.
Customers used to come in and sit down and get waited on, and Janet used to tell the customer, why don't you go across the street?
Why don't you go sit anywhere?
She used to work at 12 o'clock, I remember.
Well, anyway, we had a moderate wedding that was as much as we could afford, and we got married, and then I went in service, and Jean got
Get my apartment
you
up.
gave the apartment up, and you got
My mom
yourself
came
a
and
room.
She says, you sell
and
your
She
furniture,
moved to Atlantic
you're coming
City,
with us.
Right.
with
You're
Mom.
not staying by yourself.
Yeah, she did.
and Sam and Helen had an apartment in Atlantic City at that time, and they were pretty close during the war.
Now Walter's coming into the picture.
And then
You are coming into the picture.
Walter was born then.
No, Walter was 3 years old.
Walter was 3 years old,
at that time.
and then Stanley was born.
You were in the Navy in the war field.
I was in the Navy,
Yeah, that's when I get my apartment up.
and I came back. We went through little hell in the Navy.
Where did you serve?
South Pacific. I was on about four or five different ships.
Tell them about the
The
suicide
kamikaze plane came down on the destroyer escort that I served on, and hit the superstructure of the plane and put the ship out. Superstructure of the ship, and put the ship out of commission and put me in a hospital. And I was in a hospital for 9 months after that, and shipped back to the United States. And then about 6 months after that, the war was over.
And Al was going up to Boston, and
Jean had already gone up to see you,
Yeah, Jean.
Yeah.
and when Al went up to the shoe shed, that's when he got together with you.
But there's one story.
The hospital, though, right?
Yes, I was in the hospital at that time. But at one particular time, I happened to come back, change ships, and I came back to Norfolk, Virginia. And when I got to Norfolk, Virginia, we had 72 hours before we'd ship out again. And I called Philadelphia and I asked Jean to come down to Philadelphia, come down to Norfolk, that I had rented a room in the Thomas Nelson Hotel, if you remember, and to get the next bus, which was at night, to come down there. It took about 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, Cape Charles Ferry.
Yeah, and it took it, by that time she would be there in the morning. So in the meantime, I love seafood.
Oh, you want to start then? That's a good story.
So in the meantime, I love seafood. And I went all over Norfolk looking for a seafood place. And I found a white oyster house, a white painted place, it was a beautiful place. And I went in there and I asked them if they had any, and I looked at the menu, I said I could go for a crab salad. So the fellow said, I'll see if we got any. And being in the restaurant business, I should have had my head examined for waiting at that particular time when the guy said, I think I'll see if I got any.
He made you some.
So I'll see if I got it. Well, he went back in the kitchen. He was in there about 10 minutes. And then he came out and he brought some crab salad. Well, it was loaded with mayonnaise and whatnot.
Chopped up fish, yeah.
No, so I ate it. And so anyway, all that night I had diarrhea and I was sick. Every 5 minutes I was going to the toilet, the toilet.
Yeah, the turtle.
Well, anyway, Jean came in the morning on the bus, and she came to the hotel, and I was at the hotel, and I haven't seen Jean at that time for about a little over a year, and we were married, and it was legal, we could do whatever we wanted. Well, anyway, we got in bed,
Everybody's business.
we got in bed, and
Now we're getting personal.
and I was full of diarrhea yet, and no sooner I tried to do something, boom, I had to go to the toilet. Well, anyway, I managed to just start. I'd start something, and boom, I had to go.
Put a joint Helen in there.
So anyway, the whole 3 days she was down there, I couldn't do a god darn.
You could really
I still can't. After 44 years. But I'll never forget that incident that guy did to me.
True story.
That was a true story.
Yeah, it was true.
That was absolutely.
Jean's gonna say something. Absolutely.
And Jean came down there for no reason at all, no good at all.
Oh, but you're exaggerating, I think.
Well, maybe I did a
You're
little
getting low.
bit. Maybe I did a little bit. But that was really an experience, I think. But getting back to the waitresses in the restaurant, we had 2 of the best waitresses.
Oh, yeah.
They used to ask for the food, we used to sling it to them.
Could Jean carry 2 cups of coffee in one
Oh,
hand?
yeah, Jean was,
Or do you-
well, it's one thing about her.
Spread out for the rest
She was
of the
immaculate in the restaurant. She kept the
I
place
never worked.
clean.
I never had a chance to work. I was a
And, yeah, well, so then time went on, and later on, God bless us little daughter.
Right.
We had a little daughter, Annette,
Now she's got it.
and she grew up, God bless her, she was a good child, and she got to, was working. She didn't want to go to college, but she went to work, and she met a nice boy, Harvey Mickelberg, and they got married, and
lovely
they
grandchildren.
got two great grandchildren,
May only be around to have great grandchildren.
Larry
Right.
and Stacy were 2 great, wonderful children. And thank God my son was doing pretty good now.
Almost as good as Walter.
Almost,
Almost.
no.
He will, give him
He'll
time.
Bless,
Give him time.
Walter was blessed.
He'll
God
get
God
there.
bless him.
He may not have all the money in the
He,
world,
he,
but he's got more.
he's really a
bucks
fine
than you
boy.
ever saw in your life.
Walter's a
He's
fine boy.
You know, stuff like that.
Okay,
And
let's
Stanley also is a fine boy.
Is there any way to focus that light?
Oh,
on the
come on,
bugs?
what do you need the bugs for?
No.
And
That's it.
Janet has
Close the
Jerry
issue.
and Marilyn.
But now, I think now it's time to hear from Big Sister.
Lil.
Yeah, let's go to the big sister.
You gotta
Let's
tell
get
us
into
something.
my
Well,
phone.
you close,
I'm done.
you
Well,
close the deal.
How about when you first met her?
Oh, no, that story takes too long.
Well, just hit the highlights.
Too long.
The first time she met him was on her wedding day. He was young, she was young.
When was it?
I met her on my birthday when I was 13 years old. My girlfriend's sister was having a wedding, and I was invited to the wedding, and I was only 13 years old. And I went with two girlfriends that lived around the corner from my cousin on 20th and Dauphin.
Yeah.
So,
Betty Dubin.
no, Betty
Oh,
Dutton was
gee,
not
see,
there.
no.
And these
Catch
were two
the picture
different
in
girls.
there.
I beg your pardon?
Catch that picture in.
So anyhow, we get to the wedding and I'm dancing with a fella there. And Mr. Greenberg calls me over, he says, "Hey Lil, come here. Do you know these fellas? There's three fellas standing at the gate, at the door." And I said, "No, I don't know them." He says, "They say you invited them up here." I said, "I don't know them. Who are they? I don't know them." And this one fellow with a cap on, and I took the cap off over his arm and said, "Now you know you invited me up here. What are you ashamed of? We're not so bad looking. Tell the man that you invited us up here." So, "I don't know you." So Mr. Greenberg came in and said, "Now look here, you bums. You can't crash this place. This is a wedding." Well, anyhow, finally, one of the fellows said, "Well, I'm a brother of the fellow in the band, Jake Orkin, Pat Orkin's
Oh,
Bluebird
yeah,
Orchestra."
yeah.
He says, "I'm a brother." He said, "I thought maybe we could get in without him." Well, anyhow, he comes in, and I just looked at him casually and danced away. And but the only fellow I knew was this one fellow that talked to me with the cap on. I hated caps, and he was wearing a cap.
Is that her?
That was her. So anyhow, we were dancing around, and I was a little short shrimp, you know. So and I always liked tall fellas. This tall, big, handsome, blonde guy comes over to me, and he starts dancing with me. We're dancing, and he says, he keeps dancing with me, and he says to me, "Can I take you home?" So I said, "Well, I'm here with two other girlfriends." So he says, "Well, I'm here with two other boyfriends. Well, let's all get together." So I said, "Fine." So we get together, and who was it?
Her.
Irv with Larry Radville and Jake Orkin, and my two girlfriends and me. And we get together, and my girlfriend is stuck on Irv, and the other girlfriend stuck on
Was
Larry.
that Dorothy Kramer?
No. These
No,
two
they
girls are
played
from 20th and Dauphin.
Oh,
You didn't know them.
I didn't know
So
that.
anyhow,
No.
so Irv comes over to me, and he says to me, "My name is Jack. What's your name?" And I didn't want to talk. I said, "Don't you talk to me." He says, "Look," and he takes me by the arm and he pulls me over and sits me on. He says, "Now look, we try to get in, to the place." He says, "Let's be friends." He says, "Let's not be angry." He says, and he's talking to me like this, and I'm very, very mad at him. So the music starts, and Jake comes over. He says, "Come on, Lil, you want to dance?" Irv says to him, at that time it was Jack. He says, "I'm talking to her. Go dance with somebody else." And he wouldn't let me get up, to go dance with him. So I'm mad as hell at him. I'm so mad I could kill him. And I don't want to talk to him or anything. Well, anyhow, finally he started talking to me. We danced a few dances, and we're ready to go home. And it's snowing outside. We get outside, such a snowstorm, my God. And I said to him, "How are we going to get home?" It was 12 o'clock, and I was never out that late. He says, Jake says to me, "Don't worry about her. Jake's got a car." So up comes this Lizzie with the ice and glass windows, that roll down, nice, all polished up. gets in the back, and I get in the back, and we had to make room, so I sat on Jack's lap, and the other two couples got in, and this one girl gets in, this Edith, her name was, goes to get in the front with her. And as she's getting in, at that time it was Jack.
In where, the car?
Into the car.
Oh.
And he says, he turns around and he says to her, "Where are you going?" And she says, "I'm going to get in the car to sit down." He says, "No, you're not." And he turned around and he says to me, and I'm sitting in the back with you, he says, "You get up front and sit with me. If you don't," he says, "you can both get on the trolley car and get the hell home." So Jack said, yeah. So Jay Gorgon says to me, "Hey, pushing me off his go up front." He says, "He's crazy." He says, "He's not going to make us get on the trolley car. It's snowing like hell." He says, "There ain't nothing back in the snowstorm. Get in the car, get up front." I had to get up in the front. I was so mad. So I'm sitting in the car like this, all the way over. Honestly, he's sitting over there. And we're driving. Irv says to me, "You know, if you move over another inch, you're going to fall out of that car. Why don't you move over?" "I won't bite you. Move over." So I moved over a little bit. We was talking and talking. And all of a sudden, I brushed the isinglass windows, you know, they get fogged up. And I give a look. I said, "Wait a minute." I grabbed the wheel. I said, "Wait a minute." Stop the car. "What's the matter?" I said, I opened the window and I opened the door and I jumped out. "Who the hell do you think that you got? A couple of bums in here?" I said, "You know where you're at?" He says, "Why? Where are we?" I says, "You're down on Front Street in the wharf." I says, "We live in West Philadelphia. Who do you think? You got a couple of bums here? I'm not getting back in that car."
He was your basic caveman?
Huh?
He was your basic caveman the first time you met him?
And I thought for sure, though, these things down the wharf were going to get raped. And the other girls said, "Oh my God, oh my God." So, "Now look here," he said, "you're silly." He said, "I didn't realize we were in the snowstorm. I got lost. Get back in the car and don't worry. I'll take you home. And you're not going to get raped. You'll be safe." Anyhow, so I said to the girls, "I'm sleeping at your house." "Oh, fine, sure." So we get to the house, and then the girl said, you better go home. Tomorrow's school, you know, you'll get collared at and everything. I was so hurt that my girlfriends could treat me like that. And I said, "All right. And I don't care if I get killed, and you're going to be sorry. Everything that happens to me is going to be your fault." So we're going home in this blinding snowstorm, and we have to go through the park, you know, from 33rd Street up to 44th Street. And we get lost in the park. And we don't know which way we're going. It's snowing, you can't see which way you're going. And Jake is singing. He had a beautiful voice, he used to sing. Remember how he used to sing? He's singing at the top of his voice. All of a sudden, a police car pulls up.
Is that the time you lost your cherry?
No, no.
Police car pulls
She's only 13 years old.
A police car pulls up, and he says, "What are you doing
He was
here?" I'm in
14 when she
the
lost
middle
it.
of the park, you know, with three fellas. So I said, "Sorry, my old officer, we're lost, and I have to get home. I have to go to school tomorrow, and I don't know these guys, and they got lost." So they said, "Don't worry about it. We'll take you home." And they led us all the way out of the park. And they said, "Go down the street and you'll be there." Well, another is the 44th and Parkside, and we went home. When we got home, the restaurant was open already. And Mom was standing there looking, you know, what's what. And she saw us pull up with the car. She jumped out, she ran outside. She says to the fellas, "Hello. Are you the fellas that took my daughter home?" I says, "Yeah." She says to me, "You get inside. It's late." And she turned around, "Boys, you must be frozen. Come on inside and have a cup of coffee." She was smart, you know. She wanted to know who I was with, where I was. So she brought the fellas in. They had coffee and stuff, and she talked to them. And I went upstairs and I went to bed. And about 2 or 3 days later, when I came home from school, I used to put on my gym clothes, and there was a boy that used to take me bicycle riding. So when he took me bicycle, I was out bicycle riding. And all of a sudden, my mother calls me. She says, "Lil, come on in the store and wait on these customers. I'm busy." And I said, "Mom, this is my time for bicycle riding." She said, "No, come on in and wait on these customers. I'm busy. Don't give me no arguments." So I come in to this restaurant, and in our restaurant, on the counter, we had like a little shelf with a slanting thing on it that had cakes on there. And when the customer sat, you could see the bottom part of it, but not the face. I said, yes, yes, what do you want? This wants to give me a glass of milk, this wants to give me a cup of coffee. What else? This one wants a cake. I said, help yourself. The next one says, they wanted this, not. Third one says, I'll have one of these. I says, help yourself. He says, I'd like to be waited on if you don't mind. I said, all you gotta do is reach up your hand and take it. He says, I'd like to be waited on if you don't mind. I walk around the front of the counter to reach for the cake, and I give a look, here it's Jake and Larry and Irv. And from that day on, every night they would be at our house. And that's how I got to meet Irv.
How old is Irvin?
Irv is 4 years older than me. Not quite 4 years older than me.
Did he put his hands on your knee on that car ride?
Oh, no, I was sitting all the way out the other door, and the other fellow in the back, he was mad because I was sitting up front. I was supposed to be sitting with him, and he didn't want to be with this other girl. And the three musketeers, one didn't trust the other one. Do you remember on 44th Street, the three of them would have come walk? Every night they would come, and Jake was a singer and a drummer. So what he would do, he would take a handkerchief, and we would tie it to 4 chairs, and he would take his pencils, and he would drum the things, and make music, and sing, and we would dance to that. We had so much fun, the whole gang of us sang in the back room.
Jenna, why don't you tell the story of the time that we came down, you and I came down at night?
Yeah, but you remember that story.
No, you know it better. And we peeked in and watched them on their
The
party.
Fryhoffers bread box, you know that.
With the Fryhoffers bread box. Well, you tell the story, Jack. Huh?
You have to tell it.
How about the time Sam and I came down and we peeked in from the back windows?
Wait a minute.
Huh?
That's what he's talking about. My sister has a boyfriend that comes every night. I wonder why. I peek through the keyhole. I hear my sister say, stop, Irving, take your hands away. I wonder why. You remember that? But one time, I'll tell you a story. Lil and Irv was on the verge of breaking up.
Okay, this is a good story.
They really were. She hadn't seen him for God knows how long. And they were both stubborn. So Phil
He
and I...
had bit me when he kissed me. He bit my... He tried to give me a French kiss, and
Yeah, I
I
think he
bit it.
tried to give you a French kiss someplace else. All right.
Oh, come
Well,
on, Sam. Why you dirty about it?
Well, it was on the back of the neck.
I don't like that.
Well, you said I said it was right
No,
back
he
here.
tried to give me a French kiss, and I didn't like it, and I bit his lip, and his lip got infected. And he got really mad at me, and I wouldn't make up with him, and then all kind of that.
Anyhow, I don't know how long it was. But Phil and I got an idea, because we liked Irv.
Oh, they had a party. The
Yeah.
women were having a party.
Nobody was having anything.
I was having
They
a
were
party,
having a party.
and I had this whole
They had
this gang
all the
down there.
couples there.
And
Irv
you,
wasn't invited.
and
No.
Irv was not invited.
No, and we
We called Irv and we told Irv
that
Lil wants you,
Come
she's
to the
sorry,
party.
she wants you to come to the party.
Right.
And Irv said, are you sure? Are you sure? I said, yes, I was talking to him on the phone. And sure enough, come to that party.
No, then we told Lil.
You didn't tell me.
Then we told Lil and Irv called.
Oh, yes.
Right?
In other words, the two of them,
Didn't know what the other.
They didn't know.
Yes.
We told Lil that we spoke to Irv, and Irv said he's coming up.
he's sorry, he wants to make
Yeah,
up.
he's sorry, he's coming over that night. And it was the night that they had this party.
Yeah, gathering, yes, that's right.
So sure enough, it was about 9 o'clock at night, and the party was going on, and the guest walked in. The uninvited guest, that was Irv. He walked in, and when they walked in, Lil stood up, and she was surprised and
I didn't
shocked.
know because I was sitting
You
with this.
didn't know, but you didn't know he's coming.
I was sitting with this fellow's lap and we're talking, and the door opens up and Irv walks in, and I'm sitting on this fellow's lap and I'm talking to him, and I went, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I said, "No, what happened?" I was so scared.
So anyway, that night, the party lasted for about 20 minutes more, and then the party broke up. everybody left but Lil and Herb. And that was the
No.
rejuvenation of the
No,
courtship.
I got up and I said to her, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I was invited." I says, "By who?" He says, "You." I said, "I did not." And he turned around and he looked at me, and Betty Dubin grabbed him and she says, "Don't discuss this here. Get the back kitchen." He took me in the kitchen, and she says, "Get back there and make up." I said, "No." She says, "Go back." So I went back there. I said, "You had no business coming here." And anyhow, we started to talk back and forth, and the other fella that I was going with heard me, and when he came back, he said, "Lil, can I talk to you a minute?" I said, "Yeah." I went out. He said, "Lil, let's forget about it." He says, "I know which way the wind is
The
blowing."
party broke up.
He says, "I know which way the wind is blowing." He says, "Let's just be friends." He says, "I'll call you another time." And he walked out, and I was left with her.
How long was your courtship?
Went together for 7 years. We got married, we would have got married a little bit earlier, but my mother said, "I don't want you to get married before you're 20 years old. When you're 20 years old, then you'll get married." And then she said, "I don't know about her. He was so thin," and she was always thinking, "Oh, he's got consumption. He's so skinny." His teeth were all sunken. She used to try and feed him all kinds of, remember, special steaks she used to get for him, and eggs in the morning with pork chops, and she'd make like boiled cream and butter and cakes and push it into him. He never gained an ounce. Ice cream he would eat by the gallon. Never gained an ounce. So she says, "You know what? Before you get married, you've got to come and live at our house for about a year. Back and see if you're what's what." And that's when Irv came to live at our house. Remember? He lived at our house.
Oh, yeah, 44th Street.
Yeah, he
third
lived at our
floor.
house about a year before we got married, and then we got married.
How come Mom said she didn't want you to get married before you were 20? And Mom kept saying to me, "You're never going to get married. You're never going to get married."
Well, you were an old maid already. You were 23.
Yeah.
Well,
wait a minute.
I gotta tell this
you know
story.
why Mom didn't want me to get married? I was working at the bank and bringing home the money. I was working
No, I
for
gotta
money
tell
at
this
that time.
story, Walter. We had the restaurant, and Janet she appeared to be fast, but Janet was naive. She didn't go out much, and she was always a homebody. And we started to get a little busy in the restaurant, and her cousin from New York, Lee, came to visit. And when she came to visit, and Lee appeared to me to be a fast operator. And she and Janet were very close. And Lee started to date this cop that was Jaeger, used to patrol the beat, and he used to see her. He used to see Lee, and then Lee got Janet to go out with his partner, cop, Harry Smithy. And then it started getting so that they were both pally-wally so much, and I was always trying to protect my dear sister, Janet.
Well, he was married.
Yeah, they were
both
married.
married.
But I didn't like the way Lee was trying to lure Janet out to be the way she was.
Oh, but she was a good girl.
Well, she was good in her way, but
She wasn't.
I always thought that she was too fast.
You thought, but she was a nice
Well,
girl.
anyway, I had it in for her. I didn't want her around at all. Well, but anyway, so it reached a point that I just couldn't stand that girl anymore. And she said one thing behind the counter that one time, and something about whatever happened. Well, I picked her up bodily, Lee. I picked her up bodily and carried her out of the store and just put her outside. I said, "I don't even want you in here no more." Well, anyway, we were on the outs for So anyway, after that, I didn't want her around there, and she went back to New York. And that was right before you met Al.
Right.
That was right
Right.
before you, right? That was
Well, I
right.
remember Rank was one.
Yeah, that was his name.
That was Janet's girlfriend.
Well, I think you ought to quit, huh?
She had long jet black hair, and she was a waitress, and she used to come in front of me, big funny face. I said to her one time, we first got the lemon meringue pies. She said something about my further-in-law. I said, just keep it up. I said, push your head this in this lemon meringue.
She said, I dare you.
She
Yes.
said, oh, I dare you, defiantly, like
The
that.
lemon meringue pie.
She
And
had
she
said,
still talks about it.
and I held the bottom of the pan.
Yeah, she did, you rubbed it.
Rini was a good-looking girl.
No, she was
Yeah,
good.
But she was a waitress. We got her in the restaurant too.
Yeah. And she should,
Yeah, she was a naive little waitress. And
Good
Sam,
carry a couple
and
courses.
Sam had a whole lemon meringue pie. At that time, a lemon meringue pie, a whole big pie cost $0.25.
That's all.
$0.25 for a whole
I
pie.
think we used to get Wassel's pie.
Well,
Yeah, and Sam picked the pie up and said, I'll put your face in this pie.
it
And
was right around lunchtime,
Rini
too.
says, I dare you.
I
dare you. Sam took the pie and sat there and
You didn't even.
I think he wants to go out for a walk.
Well, as this tape
What,
winds
you know?
down to an end and everybody
Yeah,
starts yawning,
let's
let me
move
just,
it.
let me just ask everybody a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Do that? When were you born, Janet?
Jack.
Me,
Yeah.
I was born 1970,
What was the day?
February 9th, 1970,
Where?
in the Cherry Hospital,
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia,
Philadelphia
right?
Cherry Hospital.
When we were living on 8th Street, where the Cherry Hospital isn't there anymore. Well, it was there then. Yeah.
When was Al born?
May the 6th, I think, 1910. He was 7 years older than me.
Where was he born?
In Philadelphia with a midwife.
Born midwife.
Yes.
Delivered by.
Delivered by, never went to, didn't go to a hospital.
And what day did he pass?
December 23rd, 1979.
Father?
Wow.
Son,
When were you born? If you can remember
I
back.
was born November 25th, 1911, Woodbine, New Jersey, under a sewing machine. My mother was sewing clothes in Fiona's house,
Come on, Sam.
and all of a sudden she said, "Oi!" And I bounced up.
Lucky Helen's
You
not
heard
here.
yourself.
Well, that's a story.
No, come on.
No what?
All right, come on, I won't argue with you.
You ask simple questions.
Yes.
A simple answer. Lil, how about you?
March the 6th, 1910, in the middle of one of the worst snowstorms. All the trolley cars were tied up, and the doctor couldn't get there, and it was on a Friday night. My father had to trudge about 6 or 8 blocks to bring the doctor back, and she was a woman doctor, and delivered me. She couldn't get home. She had to stay overnight, and that's how I was born.
You were born in the house?
I was born, no, I have a birth certificate somewhere. Somewhere in South Philadelphia.
Nathan Wolf.
I don't remember it was like from where.
How about her? How about her?
Irv was born 1906, and he was born somewhere in South Philadelphia too.
May I say
Somewhere in
fair?
South Philadelphia too. He was born on May the 31st, 1906,
I'm going to take
And what
it.
was
and
the
he
date?
died June the 6th, 1941. Wait,
1971.
71.
Wait.
Yeah.
Bill?
Your turn.
Yeah, I was born July the 4th, 1913, at,
When were you born?
at 235 North 8th Street in Philadelphia.
Next door to the Gaiety Theater.
Right next door to the Gaiety Theater. And my wife Jane was born
Romania, Russia. 1917.
1917? Where?
Belts.
No, in
You heard of
Romania.
it?
You're from Romania?
Yes.
Son of a gun, I never heard of that. When in 1917?
April the 25th.
And tell them when you come over to. How old you were.
I was about 8.
Who remembers your mother and father when?
I have a record of it, but
I have his citizenship papers, his passports, and everything like that upstairs in the,
Well,
in the place.
on Pop's tombstone, it says, born 1888, 1888, died in 1961. That's on his tombstone.
I have the letter from
December
the coffee letter. I wonder if they want to record the coffee.
Start with it.
How about
With the next,
The letter with the coffee.
No.
how about your mother?
My mother came over here when she was about 15 years old, she said, about 15. And they opened up a little grocery store in South Philly.
What was her birthday? Actually?
Nobody knows her
Nobody knows,
birthday.
never knew her.
Those days, people didn't have birthdays. They were born either 3 days before Pesach or 10 days
Or when
after
the cherries
Pesach,
were in bloom.
or when the cherries were in bloom.
Well, she's
Or-
supposed to have been 62 when she died.
When did she die?
1949.
May 19th.
May 19th, 1949.
So that makes it 1887. She was 62. Right.
she was approximately 2 years older than Dad,
Yeah.
than my father.
She was older. And her maiden name was Ginsburg. And, well, anyway, I think we have a happy, close-knit family.
Yes,
I
we do.
think we're all close and
The
friendly.
Ginsbergs
I
have,
think we'll keep one of
what
them.
actually happened, Walter, is
We'll,
the
we'll stick it out.
Right.
We got great in-laws. Our in-laws are wonderful people. And our grandchildren and our cousins and all the relatives are all
Yes, we
nice.
do.
And nephews. And the nephews and
Yeah, it's
nieces.
just a shame that two important.
what actually happened,
Two
Walter.
important members are missing. Janet's husband and my husband.
Yeah, what
Herb
actually,
and Al.
what actually happened, Walter, the Ginsburg married the Walvicks, and in turn, one of the Walvicks married a Carlonis, from whence you came,
Yeah, you get
and
the
may you marry a Capoletti or whatever the name is, from whence our grandchildren will come. And your maiden name was what, Gene?
Reuben.
Reuben, that's right, I was trying to think of it.
James married.
Phil married a Reuben, and offspring of a Ned.
Well, it was really Reuben Fine.
Reuben
Was it
Fine?
Reuben
Reuben
Fine?
Fine was cut short.
Oh, isn't that
Yes.
nice?
It was
You
cut
know, your name, is that one, Walter?
Yes.
Evelyn.
You know, your name, we really don't know is really Walvick. When my father came over here,
Don't say that now, if you became such a big lawyer.
wait a minute, when Pop came over
Oh, you
here,
have to do me a favor.
he said to the man at the immigration office, he said his name was Wolowatsky or something like that. The guy looked at him,
Are you gonna get the
Ramil
picture?
Wolowatsky, something like that. So the man said to him, how do you spell it? I don't know how to spell.
Same
He
thing.
says, I want to tell you something, boy. Take the name, S-A-M. It's a good American
You're
name.
with Uncle Sam.
He says, and you're now an American. No more Achmiel Schmachmiel. He says, Sam, S-A-M. It's a very good name. And how do you spell the last name? He says, I don't know. But the way he sounded it and cut it down, he made it Walvick. Now, Landsmen that came from the same country, you know, friends from the same village, when they came over here, they didn't know how to spell it. They became Wolkov, W-O-L-K-O-V, the furrier. So they were in the mishpucha, in the family, kinsmen. But they're Wolkov and we're Walvick. And we still don't know which our right name was.
As we bring this little show to an end, to show all the great love the Walvicks brothers and sisters have for each other, perhaps
Give one another a hug.
we should have everybody give everybody else a big kiss. And how about?
No, I think we ought to stand up and dance opposite.
I think that is just great.
Oh, fucking me.
You first.
Gee, come here, give me a kiss. Well,
I think I'm the oldest. You get up and kiss
yeah,
me.
well,
You get up and kiss me.
Father?
Father?
I'll do it again.
Come here, Gene.
And Dad, come on, Dad, you kiss Lily.
Oh,
All
my
right,
God.
Sam. But don't let your belly get in the way.
Well, I'm a knees, sonny girl.
Now I'm going to kiss my husband,
All
okay?
right.
Yeah.
No glasses on.
Hi, guys. It's June?
I said, how we doing?
It's June 26th, 1987.
Hey, Jay.
We're all in Atlantic City. How did we do? Mommy, how did you do? How'd you do at the gaming tables? Did you win or lose?
You lost. You didn't lose all your money. How much did you lose? How much did you have to start with? No, 100. Did you have $100 bill? No. You did?
How'd you do, Pop?
Well, I'll tell you. It's a long story. But we won. No, we won.
What were you plus?
I was plus, what, at the high, my high,
No, at the end, Father.
at the end, plus 320. That's what counts.
That's better than hay. How about you, Uncle Lodge?
I lost a buck. A buck or a bundle? A buck. Very broke even.
Is that because you didn't bet?
I could tell by your arm. Is your arm sore? Well, how about me holding that? You get in there.
Got 100, Dad?
What?
Got 100?
No, that's all I got. 320. I don't knock down. I gave the girl a $5 tip too.
Please, before they all get... Smile! Oh, hey, hi!
There you go.
I got so much locks that she's
All right.
You ought to get her to tell about
She's
yesterday.
done.
locks.
You get Bob talking to her. Pretend you're trying to pick her up, Bob. Then you can pan out. One time we had a party here, and I had closed circuit video.
Oh, that's what I was
And I
telling
had it
you.
hidden all behind the...
Two more breakfasts.
When we ran that, you should have seen what went on in the house. Because everyone was, we didn't know, we had the mics, everything.
Oh, Jackie, and everybody was talking about something else that was dirtier than the rest.
No, it wasn't dirty. I swear. One was talking about his father, came screaming in, turn it off, you know, we had to edit it out. You don't know what went on here. I never thought it would be such a big deal. Never. I said, I hope yours doesn't have sound. Doesn't have sound, does it? Yes? Okay. Don't anyone say anything bad. Had sound. Then we just played it back to the thing. But the best was...
You talk this way all the time.
The best was getting everybody into this room. We told them all they had to listen to... Well, not for you, obviously. Don't you dare. Come on, stop that. Sam, are you nuts? You just had the goddamn stomach up. Stomach disturbed. This is ridiculous. He's sweet. Unbelievable.
I don't worry about nobody.
Unbelievable. God. And Walter's peeing. You're getting chunked on there? Tell everyone to go in and eat. They won't listen to me.
All right, listen. Jack, come on, eat. Everybody in there get something to eat.
Just stand there. I'm sending them in the water. You see like a caravan of people coming in. Everyone go eat. You'll be on television. If you start walking in, water will get a shot of you. You'll be on TV. Well, we can bring her a dish later. Jack, start eating, please. Yes. Then she'll remember what she said we're being forever. You'll never get to it. We also are set up outside. If anyone wants to go outside, there's a table and chairs and anything you want.
There. Oh, I know.
Did everyone hear?
Bob, your coffee said earlier about this thing.
Thanks.
You giving them special?
That's right.
All right. Just remember who pays. That's all I got to tell you. Just remember that. There'll be no tip in your pay today, okay?
We're gonna lock you in the backyard.
Mommy had me out there. I was going to swim.
Oh, he's got that.
Yeah, let's eat this thing.
And I'm trying to hold off for you to come here. I'm saying we're gonna kill him. So
I'm sorry, there was some
Wasn't
confusion.
your
No, I know it
fault. You
wasn't,
didn't
but
say
I mean,
it.
it's, you know.
So I'm saying, well, wait, because I thought everyone, because they anticipated you, you brought us your lunch, because I made enough for, dinner, we're gonna be here, just leave it out. But after my line, Bob, were they screaming, let's eat? Right here, baby. If anyone wants tea, we have boiled water too. When we start getting low,
Does that come over here?
absolutely.
I'm very
I
vain.
just want to get moving and started in case I've forgotten anything. You know what's awful? When you're in this business, I never get a chance to do my own damn house. So most of it is when I first moved in. Professional, no. But I always played with it. I never did.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
Let me tell you, you guys know, man, I have no problem. I mean,
Oh, I love this thing. It's like, you have to see this thing. That is, she winds this up and it goes skating
Okay.
all around and the weaves and it turns. You have to see this thing.
well,
Hey, there's a lot of
we
good
don't want to
food.
sell it.
Come on, Walt, there's a lot of good food back there. You go see Needles? Remember
Needles drives me crazy.
Needles,
Needles
me,
drives me crazy.
you can't even see it.
Needles drives him crazy. She's
Oh,
always trying
Needles
to
is
make-
always on his back.
Yeah,
Hey, Ming, come over here.
watch it. What do you want? Come on. My main man.
Oh, geez, meatballs.
My main man.
They're the cats, Helen.
Yeah, we stole him from the cat.
Yeah, cat's balls. Cat's meatballs.
Ah,
What did Daddy bring you there?
What are you doing, man?
Sweet and sour meatballs,
What do you
piece of
want?
turkey, and roast beef, egg salad, pickle, and that's cookle.
Cook 'em.
Cherry Cocoa.
Cherry Kugel. Wow. Looks good.
The kind you like.
Is that good, Mommy?
Very good. I will. Don't you worry about me.
Get it before it's gone.
Yeah.
We only have enough for 50 people.
Kathy, you met everyone? You met everyone.
Except the cat, and the cat's hiding upstairs. So
Good.
you may not meet her, right?
I'll tell you, some days I look all around and I can't find it. Cats hide. You know, in the beginning when we first got her, she used to get down the basement a lot. We have a drop ceiling in the basement. The cat would get up into the drop ceiling. We'd hear something walking around the ceiling. We couldn't find it, and then you hear meow, meow, and she was stuck up in the ceiling. We'd open the thing. What a good big cat.
I think he's looking at her. Boy, too. Well, I announced it. No one even went near it, so we don't have to worry
Eat
about
the food.
Okay.
it.
I'll get some. The meatballs especially good, right?
Oh, they're all good. Everything.
Okay.
Good for heartburn. I have some Digel now. They call it Digel.
Who's here?
That's Sarah.
Hello, Siri.
Oh, isn't that cute? Look at the head. That's adorable.
Is it skating?
Yeah.
That's so funny. But
He's gonna go for a dive. He's gonna go right in my laundry room and fall right on his head.
We'll have Ming there.
That's real cute.
Ming is petrified of him, so is Siri.
Real cute.
There isn't any big
that your toy?
He won't work on here. Sometimes on an Oriental. No. They're smoother. No.
Bam.
Dude,
Look at him.
the napkin's keeping them good.
Look at him, Helen.
I thought that'd go boom.
What's his name?
Rollo.
Off the edge of the table.
Roll, roll.
crushed tomatoes is his name.
Let him take a dive.
Crushed tomatoes.
Rollo is the name?
He's turning around.
Ming,
Look.
you see the little doggy over there? You see the thing?
No, put the dip right in front of him.
You see the thing? You see the little doggy? You said you did little doggy?
Ellen,
So good.
Forget it. Forget it.
Hi.
Forget it.
is that
Get
cute?
the doggy. Go see the doggy.
Da-da-da-da. Isn't that cute, Helen?
Everything stops him going the wrong way.
It really is cute.
He's shoving the candy dish along with him.
Getting in focus?
They pick it. If there's
Well,
anything,
you need to
it's
do
gonna be
something
nice.
called white balance.
There's something out there.
Get him to tell you his name again.
Give us your remote.
Two loud and clear syllables. I think that's great.
Hey,
Listen to him is what I'm telling you.
Charles? Charles?
Listen, Adam. You're all right. You can go
want him to
play.
say-
Charles, hey, young man, Charles?
Don't walk in the flowers.
Is Charles your name?
He's asking you a question.
Is Charles your name?
What?
Is Charles your name?
No.
Well, what's your name?
Barbara.
Say it out loud. Adam.
It's Barbara.
No.
Susie.
Adam.
A-A-M-M.
Anna.
Spell terrific. No. N-N-A-A.
You can't spell.
Yes, I can.
Let me hear it again.
A-B-A-M.
You cheated. You cheated. I heard you tell. Your
No
mommy
help
cheated.
from mommy.
No, Mommy did it. Was this yours?
No, that's yours. You were clever enough not to spill it all, so there's some
Did I?
still there.
Was this
Well,
yours?
I didn't have one, so it must be yours.
Turn out to
That's
be
the one you
a good
just
day.
spilled all over your foot, remember?
But you left some. That was smart.
No, he's saying it wasn't his.
Leave some so you could drink
That's
it.
right. I took a sip before. He goes, which side did you drink from?
Well, you know what's funny? I never drank from my kids' cups, and I never let them drink.
You went back to playing golf?
What?
You went back to playing golf?
Says
We're
first.
very normal family.
I can't take Adam because he ran and hid.
No, he didn't. He's going to attack you. Come here, Adam. Smile. He wants to take your picture. Thanks.
Ooh, the camera.
Oh,
Oh.
God.
Let's smile. That's a crappy
Gruesome. Gruesome.
Gruesome.
What do you do? Be careful you don't fall.
Why don't you say hello? Wait till your cousin Warner. Look up from here, but wave again. You missed that one. Okay.
Well, your Hollywood ham over there.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he loves it. You could dance. You could dance. He could take a shot of you dancing.
Dance?
No?
He knows best how to
How
pull
about
his
that
hair.
karate?
Oh, we
Yeah,
talk
show
about
her
it
your
now?
karate.
We talk about it now, Marion? Let me see your head. This kid has a wonderful habit. We'll embarrass him.
Go ahead,
He pulls
show
out
your
all his
head.
hair. We
Show
used to
your
call
head
him
on camera.
Friar Tuck.
Show him your hair.
Now he found a new place.
Show your bald spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulls it out.
Well, for a while he had the whole crown out, and I used to call him Friar Tuck. Remember in Robin Hood?
Now he changed it. and it
Now he's
comes
got a
down
new
the front.
spot.
We call it the reverse mohawk.
He has it right down the center, and here grows off the middle. Well, it's good now. You should have seen it when it was bad.
Used to be horrible like that.
All the time.
Horrible.
No, God for
Surgery. Again, for surgery, for the back. And it's like 2 or 3 days from now, he's going to operate on me. While he's talking to me, another doctor comes in. He says, Mr. Walvick, he says, while there's other doctors there, he says, we found an aneurysm on your aorta. So the doctor who's talking to me, the orthopedic man, is stunned. He didn't know nothing about it. He says, well, he says, if that's the case, he said, that's more important than my operation. So that's how he started explaining to me about the aorta business, you know. So I said, oh my God, I don't know what the hell to do now. I'm going to die. I said, what's it? So I give me percentages. How many people die from it? How many people? And what if I don't have it done? 8 months, he says, if you don't do it, he says, you got 8 months to a year to, well. So I think I called the, what the
You
hell?
are candy cat. He told me candy cat. I thought he was heating the
So I started explaining to Kathy on the phone what they're going to do. They're going to give me a what's her name? Catheter.
Yeah, a
A
catheter.
catheter, and they're going to put a duct and something in my, up my arm, feed me medicine, something in my wrist. Then they operate on the thing, and now I'm all right.
Well, they got
And
it out.
it fixed your back up.
But no, the back is still bad, and the electricity is still in my legs.
But you're walking. But that. But you're walking. That's
I'm walking, yeah.
Sam.
But the back doesn't hurt now.
Sam, you know, while you're here, you want to stay an extra day and go over and let him fix up your back.
No, it can't.
Why can't he?
Because you don't do it right away to begin with.
Sam, I went there and I could
You got
hardly-
that, it looks
I
like
could
a
hardly
train
walk.
coming towards me, Walter, like the,
Sam.
Like the train coming
When I went
towards
into
him.
it last time, I could hardly walk. They laid on the table and gave me the needles on it. And it was fine. You gave me
Come on,
about
baby.
30 needles.
right away,
Right now,
to
right
begin
on
with.
the table.
To begin with, Will. Before he gets
You're
in
one of
here,
those people
he has to
who
know
want to
where
tell
to
me,
inject.
He takes an x-ray right there.
Well, and the x-ray right
Walter
there
is
takes care of
Zoomer.
it.
He does a good job, and we're gonna be
You know
glad
how
to
long
have
it
you
took?
someday.
I went
Yeah,
home
right.
and he took the x-ray. I waited 15 minutes for it to develop it. He took me right on the table and
What did he do to you on the table?
he put the needles on the back.
There's your
That one where,
And how long
you
did
were
it
really
take? You
down
took me
and
to
Phillips
Myers.
around
Was
for
I there
two
long?
tapes worth.
Don't I look
Two
gorgeous?
tapes worth.
Remember
don't
on
I look
Presidential when we
gorgeous on
couldn't
those
find a place
pictures?
where to
That
park?
would
not long. I don't think I was the whole thing. Was it? I don't think it took an hour.
He gave her quickies.
I don't think it took an hour.
He made you better.
I don't know if I look
Now my
worse
back is
with
beginning to
glasses on or
again,
without.
again, down again, again,
Better
again.
without the glasses.
Well, I never had any problems until lately, until about 6 months
Sam,
ago.
your belly button showing. Nothing else but just your belly button. Oh no, that was your scar.
It's a cute
No, I thought it was your
belly
belly button.
It's a cute
You know what
belly
happened? I'm serious. When they operate on me, my body is out of whack. Now, I'm not kidding. It looks like it's off balance. Think of- Is that funny or isn't it?
It all depends on what you're talking about is funny.
No, it's this part
It
sticks
gives,
out.
it gives you the illusion because of
It
the...
don't give an illusion.
Hi, Mommy.
You know what he did?
Right.
He didn't menstruate. You didn't menstruate.
Ah, the men's
I get
strength.
it. No, I don't get it.
Men's strength.
He meant
No,
it crooked.
And
no,
Walter looks like what he's going to deliver in a couple of weeks.
no.
You leave Walter alone, Lillian. For God's sake.
When is it going to... When are
That's
trying to
great.
decide if it's gonna be a boy or a girl.
But it went down.
No, you're not allowed to go over there when she teases you like that.
That's right.
Marilyn, I've told everybody else except you that I think that kugel is just outstanding.
I told you,
Really
I
enjoy
told
it,
Walter,
so.
take a couple pieces home, you can have it for later, it's good later.
Maybe you could give me recipes.
Liz, no, just do whatever you have. You just throw it in.
Shit the eye.
You just
Yeah,
throw
you
it
shit
in, that's
it
what
on
I
there.
do.
Jerry, before you came, we were telling the time when they made that party here, when they were hiding everything.
Oh, there's that train again.
And you were sitting in the corner there and you were whispering something. And when it came on the video,
You and Marion ran home. We're embarrassed.
in that corner, you were sitting. In that corner.
We'll have a good time.
You could wind them
Watch
all.
that train, Ming. Look at
Oh,
it,
yeah.
Watch that train,
You
Ming.
know,
Yeah, good. Look at that tail go.
Yes,
Wonderful.
No, if I tell you the funny thing, give this
He had enough, Walter.
if I tell you, remember that Super Sunday here? It's like an open house in the city, whatever.
Yeah, everybody.
And it was in the fall and it was cold. And I have this little coat and hat in there. Remember like the little things I got, make Santa Claus suit, you got the Santa Claus suit and
And you
everything.
made one of the characters.
I have one with a fur collar
Hold it.
I don't need it, I don't need it.
and a hat, a French spray hat. And I had them all dressed up, we went. And do you believe three
Hold
people
it.
stopped me and asked if they
So
could
you'll
take
be
pictures of my dog? I was so embarrassed. Not me, my dog. They were taking pictures of him. That's super, oh God, funny. I had little scraps left over. So it was funny, there's like a black beaver, I'll show you. When you see this, you'll die. You can't have it.
They
It's
are.
too hot. They don't wear fur down in Florida. She got my Santa Claus suit. Did you ever see Needles dressed up?
Yeah.
Okay, that
Did
was
you ever give her the little knitted outfits for Needles?
that was Ming's.
Oh, they wore it?
No, I'm saying their dog in Florida can't wear that stuff. I think you're all right. I just don't know where it is. Just pull it a little bit towards you, but this thing weighs a ton. That's it. You're fine. Is this it? Oh no, this is a raincoat.
Oh, I'm
Bubby was
hysterical.
good at that.
But no, this one was the
That
best.
was the one that I gave.
No.
You gave us a beautiful
What?
one for Needles, Bethany.
The red one used to be con.
No.
That was the Santa Claus
This is
outfit.
Ming's.
Well, there was one I gave that had like little red.
Cognac's won't fit. No, you give me a sweater, a little hat. This
Look at
was
that.
Ming's with the fur collar. Now you die
Oh,
later.
my God.
Real.
That's real fur.
There used to be a Peter Pan collar on a sweater. Now, you know what?
I did right.
I need a bobby
Oh.
pin.
Oh, he's got a hat.
Hysterical.
The hat.
Here, you can borrow mine if I get it
You
back.
have a bobby?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I got a safety pin in it already. He's all right.
Look at this with the hat. That's the finishing touch.
It used to have a little ribbon on it.
Why does he sit so still for
Because
that?
he loves
Look
it.
at that.
Hello, Bobby!
Look at that. Look at
Come
that.
here.
Adam. Come here, Adam.
This is-
Adam, come
now
out
this
the way.
dog
Come
was
out the
made
way.
for
You wanna
Hollywood.
take a picture of
Can
the
you
dog?
imagine him on like a show? He'll do whatever you want him to.
Look at
Ming! Look!
How about that David
Look,
Letterman hour where they do
Poor
that?
dog.
This is Ming's trick. He sits.
This is his trick. He sits. Make look.
Very talented dog.
Make your debut.
Yeah.
Can you
Make your speech.
Ming's like a mound. You plump him. And it says,
That's his trick.
I mean, do you believe that? Do you want a cookie?
There you go.
Do you want to go for a walk?
Let's
Don't you dare take that hat off. Now listen to me, Ming. You want a bed? You sure? You want a bed?
Was that yes or no,
I'll put
Beverly?
you in the bathtub.
Is that yes or no?
No, that's a no.
That's a
That,
no.
he won't even walk in the bathroom. But do you believe this, Honey? That's what he loves.
Look at
And
this
that's what
now.
they used to do to Needles with. And he would just sit there. Needles like to be dressed up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Except the shoes would fall off his feet.
Yeah,
And they
galoshes.
little boots.
He had
Little
galoshes.
white
Red,
shoes.
red
He's a
galoshes he
kicker.
had.
He is a
You're
Yeah.
so good. But if I leave that on you, you'll melt. Should I take it off? No. Okay.
Look.
You gotta understand dog language.
See, only my Uncle Sam at home could appreciate being this silly over a dog. See, we get along well in that regard. Because they treat their dog, they feel the same way about dogs that I do.
There are different wolves.
What again?
There's different ones.
Yeah, there
How
are.
about yours when he was singing Jingle Bells?
Yeah.
What else? What else?
Woof, woof, woof,
What else is there, Needles?
Woof,
Okay?
woof, woof, woof.
You were very good.
Now-
Yes, you were. You were a living doll. You're so good.
Did you see that dog when he took the thing
Listen,
on?
we're gonna make a tracks.
Where's it?
Come on,
Where's it?
everybody.
You want a little stool? Want a little stool, Fifi? Oh. At your cousin. Oh, no.
Yellow Jacket mines, which was a gold mine, but it's 10 years too soon. Because 10 years later, gold went crazy.
Yeah. And what is size? $920 an ounce.
You want a picture?
Silver. Silver, what they do is silver.
Silver's about what's
The bear is one thing that has to
Yeah.
there and on lock
That's baby.
That's
Baby. It's your little baby.
Doesn't do any good to
Your
try.
picture while you're snoring. He was taking your picture while you were snoring.
No, you weren't snoring.
No, he wasn't snoring, right, Kathy? He wasn't snoring. Kathy leaned up. Yeah, Kathy leaned up. She didn't know what was happening in the corner. That is so cute. Oh, look at that
such a nice
face.
dog, Minnie. Come on, sit up. Sit up. Come on. Come on. And Bubby washed them about a week ago.
You have to wash them all the time because that's why we hand feed them. They get
Food caught in their
the
mush.
faces.
You have to see when he wants to eat, he jumps up on the chair and
Because
goes
we
to
hand feed them.
and you feed him.
Everyone thinks it's like, oh my God, we hand feed
He
them
sits
for a
up there on the chair.
reason. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. But it
Come on, get up,
isn't.
Minnie. Get up.
Really isn't
Get
because
up.
at least
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
changes
get up.
position.
Get up. Come on.
Ming!
Yeah. Good.
Hello, Ming! Want a fudgicle?
Call him.
Want ice cream? I'll get you a fudgicle. That usually gets him moving.
Nice.
His favorite thing in the world, no, I don't know how,
Work off the
but his favorite thing in the entire world was a Weight Watchers fudgicle, not a regular one.
Are those those things you can't
You
stand?
can't peel it.
Yeah, Lil loves them.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
I
You
go to
can't
the
even,
icebox and you open
you
the
can't
icebox,
sneak
just
it
take
out of the
box.
freezer. They can
He
take
knows
anything
it's
else
still
out.
there.
Hi.
But you can't take out a Weight Watchers fudgicle.
Hello, David.
Well,
Then he
You
thinks
finally
somebody said
came out of
hello.
the room.
so busy playing the computer.
I don't believe he
He
came
was
back.
up there with the computer all the time.
Yeah.
Bobby showed him.
You know, John McCarthy, remember, I was a big Petra, he must have been a carpenter. And he had at some point shaved off his fingers. And you know how spooky you are as a kid? And I used to be so afraid of them. And the old man was almost an albino. Do you remember that first
No,
dance?
not with me.
Yeah, the
It had
first
hedges,
house on
and it had
Osage
hedges.
Avenue.
And they were like very bizarre, quiet, and they had an enclosed porch. Everyone else had an alcove, you know. And we dubbed it as kids the haunted house. And when Feta died, he was the only one nice. Of course, his backyard was like a jungle. And we planted Feta there. And I'll never forget.
Plants will.
They had these little things you could weave, like bamboo.
Here's
Yeah.
something you
And I
never
wove
saw.
like a placemat, and I said, "Here lies Feta." We made a tombstone. I
Ah.
wove.
Put down over here.
But I think I told you, Bubby,
Struggling there.
I saw, when I was driving the taxi cab at the time, I saw Pudgy in Center City, walking around 3 o'clock in the morning, walking around looking for a piece of something, you know.
He said he saw my dog downtown.
That's right.
I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah, he was a
He was
prancer.
driving the cab, and will you sit down?
Grandmom insured.
Yeah, he was a prancer.
Yeah. Just as
I
well,
can't
never
believe he
saw
got that. But they were all smart.
Yeah.
All those dogs were like real tramps, and they got around and did whatever they wanted. But it was funny. We used to have fun with it. Do you remember the time I brought him to
Should have seen
Bismarck?
that, Sam.
How would you like
Here.
this? One time I hit a
Pop
cat
that Grandmom
in my
insured.
father's
Let
store
me-
in the pocket because
Mom,
we couldn't have a cat
Linda?
because we had dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, God's sake.
See, but it doesn't
And I
have
thought
a
I'd
date
hide
on
it.
it.
Put it in
Yeah,
his
it doesn't have a
file.
date on
You
it.
open up, you know what kind of
What's
screaming,
his
hysterical cat
It's gotta
came
be a
flying
date.
out of there.
This is Nettie
They
Walvicks.
wanted to kill me.
This is insurance on you. On me, yeah. Must have been for a nickel. Well, that's 10 cents.
It used to be a
There's
quarter
another
a
one.
week, something
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
another one, that in Walvick. How come I never got any insurance?
What is this?
10 cents. Oh, 20
Insurance
cents.
policies from 1940.
Hey, where did this binder come from? She told me I had it.
The pop.
You got it upstairs.
She put everything I told her in her closet. She told me no, I gave it
I
to you.
wrote this.
She saved it in the closet.
Look at that.
I don't want to hear it. I just
Remember he made me write
Anybody
that
want a drink? Oh, anybody want a drink?
Don't you squirt that.
You may not squirt that in here. You may not squirt that in here.
Did Bobby fill that up or did you? I'm going back, Bobby. No, they knew when I was upstairs before. He said, that's the pee-pee.
Don't do
David
that.
knew.
Johnny.
When I went down for the backgammon set, and it's just that,
This is when
He
Pop
did.
married the second
he got
woman.
Oh, wait.
This is a wedding certificate. They married
David
his
saw it
second
up on his
marriage.
bookcase. He said, that's the little guy that pees. I knew they couldn't
Maybe you
reach
can
it.
collect
That's
them
why
and
I asked Bobby.
to pay that policy.
This one for me is from 1947 and 1948.
No, not now.
40 years
2
ago.
hours ago.
Oh, God, what, that's if you died during that year?
That,
Hope they don't have
They-
too many
Mine
cousins.
is
Good thing they like
with
each
me.
other.
And I came walking
For
up
10
the steps,
cents.
because there's
That's
Bobby Getter,
only
and
for
I
that
had
one
Adam
year though,
chasing-
right?
He had Adam chasing me down the steps.
47 and this is
So
In the old days, they used to have the insurance guy come around to your house, he collect a quarter a week or whatever it was.
Or if you took the Daily News or
Yeah,
the
the
Inquirer
newspapers,
for 10 cents.
the newspapers promoted
Yeah,
insurance for
remember?
10 cents or something like that.
Just dawned on me,
Right.
it's missing.
Right?
It is.
What's this?
Shred by the Rock of Prudential. The other one was Prudential.
That's look good with the glasses on.
I want to show you the,
Oh, bring it right here. Did she where I put it?
yeah, by my pocket.
What are you reading, Dad?
A letter that I wrote to Lil from California.
Oh my God. She's, I'm telling you, it's surprising the paper didn't crack.
1906. They was out there, what was it, Sutter's or something? What was the name of the famous
Here's a letter.
California?
Sutter's Mill.
Sutter's Mill.
Aunt Rosie and Uncle Morris.
Okay, well, that's
Oh
good.
my
You know, I can
God.
just write to them. Okay.
Dear brother and
This stuff is,
sister-in-law.
this I've seen, real pretty.
Yeah, this is the big one,
That's
this
the
is the
big
small
one.
one.
This
Does it say the kids are fine, Dad?
I can tell you.
Is this
Big
your
one?
ball?
Does it say the kids are fine?
I have the small one.
Right.
I have
I
the
know
small
this
ball.
was,
I don't know
what, $5,000.
I'm reading something I know what the hell I'm reading.
I
I'm
know
reading.
this one.
You read it?
They paid,
You have bad handwriting or what?
Did you put a date on it? What year was it?
Yeah, what's about the...
Sam, what year was it?
When did you write it?
1950.
Now, this is
Like
what?
37 years ago.
So that was after Walter was born.
Some of them are,
Some
It's hurt my eyes.
This
yeah,
guy's
different
different.
colors.
No, this guy isn't different.
This is
Light
the
body
same,
right?
they're the same, something, keep going.
Yeah,
They're a
these are
little bit
different.
different.
No, they're
I
crab
thought those were
apples.
cherries, they're so small.
They're crab apples, I think.
Hi, girls.
The beauties.
Yeah, see his collar.
We're out at the parasol,
Pretty.
out sunning ourselves.
Yeah. Yes, we're here too.
Well, I'm telling you, she's so
We're the ones that like the sunshine though in our eyes. Woo. Woo. Tell 'em, woo.
It's nice and cool.
Yeah.
Nice breeze.
The breeze.
Yes, it's
Gonna blow the umbrella inside out.
So I keep waiting for it to wind up.
And today is Sunday,
Yep.
It's at 12 o'clock.
and we just had a nice brunch at the Hyatt in Cherry Hill. And now here we are at Uncle Phil and Aunt Jean's. That's it for the day. I've had my
What was it say? The 1 minute commentary by you now?
You always tell what day it is, where you are. Yes.
Like a computer.
I never drank past 2 or 3. Easy to say now. One time I had 5. 5? And you tell me you're not a watch? That was
for breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you know, if you don't want to, you will not eat. And you know
You
they
gotta keep
get
eating
some.
too.
You got the prettiest weeds. You have the prettiest weeds. No, but look at your weeds. They're pretty. Mine are ugly.
I guess they'll be around.
I get like
We're picking
dandelions.
flowers here.
Yeah. I'll pick some of your weeds and plant them. They're nicer than my flowers.
Here comes the Prince of Wales.
Here comes the groom. Here comes the groom.
Go ahead, this is wobbly. Come on, hold on to me.
Hi, Uncle Phil.
Hi, Walter. Glad to see you, Walter.
Good to see you again.
Glad to see you.
We got a nice day for a visit out here. Look how beautiful it is out. Yeah?
Well, the queen, the queen can't come to the king, so the king comes to the queen. Okay, I will.
We had babka and scrambled eggs.
I didn't have babka, I just made that up.
No, I didn't know about
Were you making that up, honey?
Because I had babka here yesterday, so I thought maybe he
You ought
had
to
some.
knock that off.
His tummy? He's
like his
going to.
daddy.
He's going to. Next time he'll be better.
It's like his daddy. Right. You have to learn from her. You have to learn from Noah. She's a fighter. Oh, yeah. I'm going to drink. I'll bring it out.
None for me, thanks.
Got Jack Daniels.
No thanks.
Jack Daniels.
I'm driving today.
Well, it's too early in the day.
I'm driving today.
Too early.
And I saw Leon was there, and Jackie, and Sammy. But Sammy is not even because again, this is only it comes. It always was I got it from. Thank God. Now I don't want you to feel funny. You like that? Yeah, I lost a little weight. I know. 19 years ago, when I got married.
19 years ago? Oh, yeah.
And I invited Jack, only Jack. And Sam called
You're not going to be 140 if you keep on eating like you've been eating.
Yeah. I didn't even invite him to the wedding. Sam called me, who was never invited anyone anywhere. I said, how are you? 19 years later.
Mommy said last night when we were coming home from Bev's that she was stuffed. And then I said, would anybody eat any pizza? And she said, yeah. That was 1 second after she said she was stuffed. Do you remember that, Mom? Uh-huh.
Right, and that's why you had the drink the other night, because you knew I wanted a drink, right? A lot of it when she does is for the rest of us.
How about while they're sitting here, you have a cup of coffee?
We all just had brunch.
Abby? How about this? Look at it.
How many kids does Annette have?
Larry and Stacy, right?
Is it 2 or 3?
We saw the pictures yesterday, but he thought there were 3 children, and I said there was just
Harvey's mother was over last night.
just Larry,
She brought us
Larry and Stacy,
Yeah,
right?
and she brought pictures of the kids. To show it to her.
So, do you want me to hold that? You want me to hold that?
No, you can't.
You get me the right angle for it. Where's the best way for it? Higher? I'm not sure if that's seeing it out of the right eye. Funny, because I'm so tall compared to where you're sitting. I can't judge. No, I want to stand here in the sun. I love the sun. I like the sun in my eyes and my face. And this is perfect. Of course, they keep changing their mind about what's good for you anyway. You never know what.
That one, yeah, you're not even remember the previous. One of our 2 weeks ago. Got all dressed
And
up.
when is his? Is in December? Uh-huh.
Yep.
Oh, that'll be nice. He's very good looking, yeah.
Nice.
Very good looking.
This is Stacy. Oh, that's their 2 kids.
Curly hair.
Oh, she's a little doll. You didn't. This is Harry.
Let's see the picture. The camera has.
Oh,
They're
very.
both on the honor roll. Adorable kids. Good. Good kids.
Oh, a new Nubian. A new Nubian. Miss Cat. It's a private joke. My mother looked like a Nubian slave down there holding up the umbrella. No, not everyone that holds the umbrella is going Nubian. They only needed a feather fan. Kathy, right. What she's trying to do, I have no idea. I don't know which goes first, the arm or... We're looking at you, and I said, I think she's buffeting against the wind.
The only trouble, Dad, I have no film.
No film?
Got lucky.
That is my daddy.
Can I do this?
Oh,
Your
no.
daddy's got a big tongue.
No good? This is a goat. A billy goat. This is 2 billy goats. Can you see them? Billy goat?
That's what you did.
That's your uncle.
You think I'm
It's your
stupid?
father. I'm glad I'm a further relation.
You think I'm stupid, ain't I?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, the English is bad. Aren't I?
That's your brother, Aunt Lil.
Oh, no. My brother
I never
can't
knew
be
my
a-
mother.
None of us had any choices except being
I
home.
never
Just
knew my
remember
mother
that.
produced such a fool.
Yeah.
That is my daddy.
Oh, no. My daddy can't be ugly, so I began to question the mother. These children ain't got no behavior. Yes, John. So I began to question the mother. These children ain't got no behavior. Bad talk inside the house they bring. Mama, look at boo-boo. They shout. That
Very
is your
Belafonte
mother.
has no fears.
Our father.
Son'll do you good, Phil. Son'll do you good.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to be in
Don't
the
come
sun
out.
or
You don't want to come out.
You, yeah. Rather get into your room. The only one that didn't order anything. Who do you think had the most?
Give me a break. I'm still half young.
Speed, I said I could do it.
Give me a break. My kind of...
Yeah. Did he have some of your lobster eggs? Yeah. He had brought some from up He's the only one that ordered anybody. Got everything. Kathy, let me know.
Yeah, more than anyone. What? Oh, all right.
The sun's and everything.
It's a family portrait.
It's good. Gee, good for it. Feels good. Where's Bubby? What is she? Bubby, come here.
Baby, I don't belong there.
Oh, come here. Yes, you do.
I'm the baby.
Come here, babe. Come on, Bubby.
Oh, yeah, me and Ming.
Hurry up.
Ming and me.
Where's me? Bevy.
Ming's home.
Come here, babe.
Bevy. Don't sit on both my knees, just on one of them. Because you know what
Sit on the
happens.
third knee.
You know what happens when you sit on
I'll
both.
sit on the third knee.
All right. Be careful, Rumpo.
Ooh, she gets a lucky.
Oh, did I hurt you, honey?
I was just
What do you think? Have you got everybody in there?
Do I ever?
Gorgeous. Look at how pretty we. Right? We all looked at them. We said, how come he's pretty?
Betty, pick your head up.
What's today's date?
I haven't done anything.
Do you have that program on TV?
The 28th of June?
What you eat?
What?
Sunday the 28th of June,
Have that?
Yes.
1987.
Yes. Sam shop.
You know, and do something
You
nice
know,
there. Smell your flowers.
Walter,
Yes.
28th of June. This is my wedding anniversary.
Oh, catch her.
Really?
Doing a routine.
Yep.
How many years ago was it?
Married 57 years.
57. My goodness.
And next week will be mine.
How many that would? It's for you.
Oh, golly. I was 39 and 8 years.
47.
Will be 47.
And
July
Jean?
the 7th was mine.
Bobby has a flower.
Anniversary. And then you have a flower. Hold your flower. 57 years of married.
See?
October 51.
Oh, look at Mommy
They are mommy's dancing. Look at this. With a rose in her mouth.
She doesn't need our
Look at that. With a
Tell me what it is. Would you like a drink?
It must be too much sun. Even though
Tell me, would you like a drink? That's the first time I didn't hear you say yeah.
Want some vanilla ice cream?
at 4 o'clock we're going to have the
Want some
And no
Southern
peanut-
comfort? You'll blush you.
And no pina coladas.
old granddad.
That's what. Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's got to get
And she said, no.
What, babe?
Wait a minute, I remember that she used to drink like either
All
old granddad or
liars?
Southern comfort.
We're all liars, she
Yeah.
said.
And she said, no, no, no.
And see?
So why you finally admitted that you used to old granddad. I had a bottle, and now she finally admits it.
Bill,
But she
look
was
up
Miss
at Walter.
Virgin Queen over there yesterday.
That is
Ocean.
Preserved forever, they all know. They all know. Why don't you take off your glasses? Give them a shot without your glasses.
No, they'll break the camera.
Take off your sunglasses. Let them see it.
no end, Bill.
How about the sisters kissing the brothers? Come on, sis. Give those brothers kisses.
There's an old poem.
Nothing like
That's it. That's
The
it.
poem reads like this. Life is real, life is earnest. The grave is not its goal. It's the soul that's there in slumber. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
You got more
When
than
the hell did you ever hear this?
It's the weirdest stuff.
I know.
Pearl of wisdom like you wrote in your
Yeah.
Pearls of wisdom.
Even the funniest diamond has a
Well,
tiny flaw.
there's a sequel to that.
Oh.
How would you like to go up in a swing, up in the air so blue? I would think it'd be the most bestest thing ever a child could do. Up in the air and over the wall till I could see so high.
Helen, where did you
Remember that?
find him?
I don't know what you ever did wrong, but it must have been a doozy.
That's on the page before under the spreading chestnut tree.
The village
Did you
Phillies
find
fan.
him
The
in
village
Linton's?
Phillies of my fantasy, the largest
In
city we
Linton's.
had.
Sam, she found you in Linton's.
They found me.
You found her. And then I came in one night. And then we came in one night. What'd she say? She must have been stupid.
You just came out of the farm.
But Helen,
Just came into the
That
big
was the
city.
best thing you ever
Helen,
did.
tell the truth. What did you tell me? But I still love him. I still love him.
Remember Martha Ray? Remember Martha Ray? She was coming to the Mama Warren thing.
Sorry,
And she
Walter,
took
but
one
if I
step
stay in this
and a long
position any
slide
longer,
right in my
I'm going to be
arms.
permanently bent.
Almost
God.
over the floor. She,
Helen?
Martha Ray.
Yeah?
And I picked her up and she said, "Oh, thank you, sir." And her mouth
Oh, her
opened
mouth.
real wide.
Oh, and she was growing her boobs.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Did
What
you
was
get
she
that
doing?
shot, I hope?
Well, show me, Helen.
What was he doing? Do it again, I missed it. Do it again.
He just did it.
An uplift, Helen. An
Still have
uplift.
an
Make
arm,
it an
Kathy?
uplift.
Want me to spot you for a few minutes?
No, thanks.
She said I'd charge for that. Helen charges.
No,
Bill, she's telling you to
You
smile.
get her under the, she's under the bed.
That's it, that's
I
it.
love you. And I want you to get better.
We are.
That's what you tell her.
Tell them. Tell them to take an example from her.
You can't sit mum. You gotta get up and go.
That's
To
right.
Atlantic
Right.
City.
All right.
And win at the crap table.
Yeah.
You have to. She won't let it get her. Look what the hell she's going to do.
Number 6.
Don't give up.
He's not.
Hey.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.